We'll talk for 10 minutes, and then we'll start questions.
Wow. What are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
Let's ask the chat. Chat, what are we talking about? Chat's not there yet.
Hey, chat, what are we talking about?
All right, we should be live.
Oh, wait,
Maybe.
okay, wait. Maybe. Hold on.
Yep, there it is.
Seems like we're live.
Yeah.
Hey!
What's up, gamers?
Awesome. Hello, everyone.
Hey, gamers, it's time. It's time for a fun live stream.
It is a super fun live stream.
Yep.
We should do some shout outs. I see you there.
Shout outs.
Yeah, hold on. Hold on, wait, I need to find some usernames.
I actually do need to do a shout out. The
okay.
music that is playing in the background of the stream for today, it's all by, let me look up, I'm probably going to say his name wrong now that I said it. Michael Gelfi. I'm so sorry, Michael. But we are a patron of his. Some of our soundscapes and music we get from him. You can check the description for his channel. A lot of the music that he offers you can use kind of for your own tabletop games. He's very good and also a very nice person. So yeah, you should check out his music if you can even hear it, because my audio is set to pretty low because some of the songs get a little intense. So I don't want them to randomly overshadow someone.
They all bop, so.
You know who's also like a really nice person?
Who?
Who?
Me! Of course, you were supposed to say me.
Who?
Oh. Zen is such a nice, amazing person. Wow. Zen is always so generous.
Zen is always so nice and here and present.
And humble and never asks for
I'm
compliments.
sorry for the split second where the stream heard me accidentally playing the stream at the same time.
It's fine.
That also
So
happened to me.
I like how we were shouting
Yeah.
at me. Hey, we're shouting at Zen. Shout out to Zen.
Shout out to
Woo!
Zen. Go follow him nowhere because he's not on any social media.
Yeah.
He's not. He doesn't use any of it.
I mean, same. I hate social media.
Why?
'Cause I hate
It's a
socializing.
shout out, not call out.
You're right. My bad.
Wait, hold on. I gotta. Is this screen better or is this screen better?
I can't see it. Yeah.
Cannot see
It
you
has
yet.
my browser. I guess give it a second. So
Did I
Oh
pause
yeah,
the
for
stream?
like delay or
No, I
something.
didn't.
yeah, there's a little delay.
A little bit, but it's fine. It just happens when you stream.
Nice. Hey, Vice, say Autobots, let's roll out.
Autobots, let's roll out.
There you go.
I said Autobots weird.
You sure did. You said Autobots. Autobots. It's because robots don't exist in their world.
But Roblots do.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that game.
I think this is a little
Roblox.
bit of a nicer
Roblots, shut
image,
the
even
fuck
if it
up.
has the top of my browser.
Yeah.
It looks nice, yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna start in just a sec. We're just waiting for people to pop in. Looks like we've got about 28 viewers because, well, oops, we got super delayed there for a second. I actually gave us 30 minutes to be pre-prepared, and then we had a power outage, and a lot of other things, but I won't talk about that. So,
Yep.
just a lot of technical problems.
Good time.
So yeah, I'm gonna mostly be on top of questions. So if you guys can just also be monitoring the chat,
Yeah.
because sometimes you will have to approve comments people say. So
Hell yeah. Say.
but yeah, we will start with. I have my little checklist, my little stream checklist. So we're gonna introduce everyone again, voice-wise, while we're on stream, just because I know some people have trouble remembering character names. So we'll just go. We'll go in the order. We'll start with Jay, since you're at the top.
Okie doke. My username is funnybunnyjay. I play the big paladin guy Avayath in the suit of armor. Okay, and I was also asked to have Avayath say, "I am here."
Shut up.
There you go.
Fucking
That's
All Might
so,
looking
you're
ass.
so,
He
you're
sounds
so,
like All Might.
Can I get a show of hands if you think Joe?
That
Joe,
one was
sorry,
free.
Jay is lying.
The next request is $10. I'm just kidding. But yeah, and where can we find you, Jay? The answer is in the description. You don't have to read your social media out. Everyone's social media is in the description. But
Twitter.com/funnybunnyjay. Pretty straightforward.
yeah.
How do you spell funny bunny?
Funny
Jay?
Bunny Jay.
It's also in the
The same way you
description.
would all of it.
Go check the description if you want to find out how to spell Funny Bunny J.
We'll go down the list. So you're up next, Brandy.
What's up, gamers? I'm Brandy. No, I'm Ripley. I voice the smooth-talking cowboy, Brandy, on the podcast Chosen Ones. You can find me in the description
Yep.
at the social media I never use anymore. But I'm there. Join the Discord. I'm way more active there.
Is our Discord in the description?
I don't know. Is it? Should be.
It feels like that's something that's like important. So
Yeah, it
probably
sure
not
isn't.
on there.
Sure isn't. Well, go to one of the Chosen Ones episodes and you can find the Discord
if you click
there.
our all of our social media links are here or whatever it is, in our link tree, I
there you
will
go.
real fast copy it in.
Yeah.
Just gonna.
Brandy saying, "What's up, gamers? I'm dying." No. Why are y'all like this? No. Someone actually sent $2.
Oh, someone.
Yeah.
It is in the link tree, and I also just added it to the description. So if anyone new joins, our Discord's in the description. Oh my god.
Everyone's gotta
Does
do
that
it.
mean I have to do nya?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I
absolutely.
technically did it. I just did it right
Well,
now.
no, you have to. Okay, that was a test
You
run.
gotta do it genuinely.
What is a genuine nya?
You
Not
know,
like that. Ew.
without it being like in,
Nya.
That'd
You
be-
know, like, yeah.
Yeah, Cassie.
I don't fucking know. Anyway, all of our questions that we have, we did take beforehand. We will be taking live questions the last 30 minutes, so hang on to them because they will be buried in this chat because I saw a couple people ask questions. We are not doing live questions until the very end. That's mostly just because our cast, we are literally like a year in advance out, and I wanted everyone to have a chance so we don't
Yeah.
accidentally spoiler the whole campaign for you guys during this live
Yep.
stream. So they did get to see the questions beforehand, but we will take live questions and sometimes interact with the audience. And we will no longer be saying things that you tell us to say in the chat, because otherwise we will never actually start the questions. Thank you guys, though. Thank you for the $2 donation to say yeah. So we are going to start with our first question here. And this one, we're kind of just taking to, like, clear the ice. Wow, this song just got really fucking distracting. It was like, it's time for Christmas.
Time for Christmas.
I like it.
It's a
No.
No! It's a good song.
Well, I can't go back.
You sure can't.
No more Christmas. But we're starting with this question just because we've gotten it a couple times. We've gotten things in the comments, and I don't blame anyone because we mostly make ages and things apparent in our Discord, and it isn't until episode 20 that we blatantly state what the age of the cast members are. But basically, someone asked, will Shui and Avayath ever end up together? And the answer to that is no, because Avayath is 28 and Shui is 19. So there's almost a decade difference between them, and Shui is presented very much... not necessarily like a child, but he's very young.
Yes, childlike wonder.
Yeah, and so not really big on the age gap thing. So they're just at completely different points in their lives. Similar to that, someone has asked in the past or said that Brandy and Theo being shipped together doesn't work because of their age gap. They are actually very close in age. Height does not
Brandy-
equate age. So.
Exactly. Brandy looks older because he's been through hell, but yeah, he's only like 30.
It also
He's
is
30,
just
31.
Brandy is monstrously
doesn't know
tall.
his age.
He is incredibly
he's
tall.
just huge. He's built like a fucking truck, and he is he's just big and tall and he's bearded, and he has a lot of factors that make him look older than he is. He's not actually that old.
We estimated him at what, like early 30s, and Theo is 20...
I put early 30s. He's like 30 or 31 is like his age. He doesn't know, but
and Theo
I know,
is
and he's like 30.
28 too? Or 27? 27. Okay. Yeah. So.
Thank you for the donation, Mr. Bakudan.
I can't answer your question right now because I just said I wouldn't do that till the end, but I will remember it because I can look at donated questions at the end.
Oh yeah, there you go. If you want to make sure your question gets answered, donate.
Because I can filter it that way. So that question, we just wanted to clear that off the board. And moving on to that, we're going into the order of questions that we definitely wanted to answer, and then we're moving on to questions after that. So they are not necessarily going to be in order of the way that we received them. But the question after that we got was actually from Mr. Bakudan, and it's for... I skipped one. Just kidding. His comes after that.
You lied.
I lied. His comes after that. But
so look forward to that.
Look forward to that one coming up. But
yeah, here it comes. A little cliffhanger.
This one is from Anonymous, actually, and it's to all the cast. And it was, if the cast switched classes but not characters, who would be what class?
I know my answer off the bat. Brandy would be either a barbarian or a paladin. He'd probably be a zealot barbarian or a Oath of Vengeance paladin or Oath of Redemption paladin, one of those.
That barbarian rage.
That barbarian rage, exactly. I'm like, he'd probably be a zealot barbarian. That one makes a lot of sense because of his raging, but also paladin just because a lot of paladin stuff makes sense for Brandy as well. It's another like fighter, like melee heavy spellcaster somewhat, and Brandy is more like a fighter than he is like a spellcaster normally. So yeah.
Also, I know we were doing Cassie skip me and Shayna.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very out of it right now.
It's okay. So hi everyone, my name is Zen. I play Shui, the absolute dumbass Shui. Yeah, he is a half-elf bard, and the reason I bring that up is because if I switch classes, I would definitely probably go with the fighter class. Ripley gets on me all the time because Shui is definitely like more of a fighter than he is a bard.
He's absolutely a fighter. You do not play him like a bard at all.
That was kind of like
the point.
Yeah, kind of the point. That he was more so bard in terms of that's what kind of caught his interest while he was back at home. And he's not really big on casting magic. He doesn't really understand a lot of it. So if he were like I say fighter, he'd probably be like a samurai or like a battle master. But another class he could possibly maybe sort of kind of be, I thought about, was like a sorcerer. That would kind of force him to use more magic, because like he's not, or maybe like a sorcerer multi-class, because he's not big on like learning magic. Sorcerers have like that kind of innate magical ability. They just kind of feel, which is like what I think Shui would do. So yeah, either fighter or sorcerer. I don't know what kind of sorcerer, just
a sorcerer. Storm sorcerer, probably.
Oh,
maybe.
That sounds good. Yeah.
It was like ocean and shit.
But also, I really did want a special sword, so that's
yeah, that's fair. After seeing that you have the fucking beast blade shit, I'm like, damn, that'd be cool.
If he could ever fucking pull it out, but if
he could ever,
Once he figures out how to fucking use it, I'm like, dang, that'd be cool to have a sword and be able to fucking use it. That'd be so cool.
Instead, it's just a
stick.
Good-looking baton. Yeah.
It's very pretty.
It's very pretty.
Pity?
Very pity.
Pity.
Very pity.
That's my answer.
What about Jay and Shayna?
I'll just go to introduce myself. So, I'm Shayna. You can find my links in the description. I play Theo. Hello, motorcycle.
There you go.
I play Theo. He's a human ranger. Demi male, they, he. Both Theo and I. So yeah. And as for a different class, I would. It was hard at first. My first thought was rogue because of things, but I then was like, oh yeah, I think Theo might. If he didn't go ranger, he might have gone wizard.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's a learned boy.
Nice.
Yeah, because of just the whole intelligence aspect. Just really something about Theo for that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Theo went to college.
I could totally see that.
Yeah, Theo went to college. Yeah, but it's also that he has a fascination with magic. He's just not in this version of Theo. He's not like amazing at it, I guess. But he does really like to see magic and all that, and that's why he's so fascinated with Brandy's spells. And that's my answer.
For Avayath, similar situation to Brandy. He's so big and bulky, I can't see him being a full caster. And he always wears a full suit of armor, so like anything that's unarmored seems unfitting for him. So for me, cleric just kind of makes sense, like war cleric specifically, so that he can still be like a fighter.
Cleric.
Yeah, I mean he's super religious, right? So like I feel like that's just Avayath is not super religious. Okay.
I've never seen that part of his character. That's just coming up now.
Jay,
it's such a big part of his character.
Yeah, he's religious.
Yeah, shut
what
the
god
fuck
does he
up.
worship? I've never heard of him talk about a god before. Dang, that's cool though, cleric. I never like thought about Avayath as a cleric. That's fun.
That's just the next obvious one. And I try to think of one more because I'm not satisfied with just that. Cleric was almost obvious to me. But I was thinking if he had to be something else, like a Celestial Warlock multi-class with Paladin. Because out of all the Warlock things, Celestial is like kind of fitting. It works. So like a holy type of Warlock. But still part Paladin just so you can be a frontliner still. Yeah.
All right. And before we move on to the next question, it's hard for me sometimes to read sarcasm from other people. We are not going to only answer questions at the end if you donate. That was just a joke. But
yeah. It's a goof.
Yeah. If you don't have money, it's okay. That was just a joke. Thank you for those who have donated so far. I will come back to those. I just meant like I will not be able to see your questions at the very end with the chat. So save them till the end. But I can still go back and check if you donate, was all that I meant.
Exactly.
That was all. So you do not have to donate to ask a question. We're going off ones that people asked us beforehand. We advertised it quite a few days in advance. So these are all questions we got from people before the stream started. And the police are coming now because I'm charging people money and they're taking my business down.
It's for extortion.
We got too greedy.
Too greedy.
Too greedy.
But anyway, so moving on from there, the next question. I can't really. We would be here all night if I answered the ones that are like, what other class would you be? Because I play everyone else, so like I can't do that. But we will move on to the one after that. So for the full cast, a lot of D&D content has come out since the series started. Would you use any of the new content for your characters or NPCs now? And that's for Mr. Bakudan. And I'm gonna start this off because I just kind of led into it again that I have like way too many characters to fully answer this, but also, to be honest, I don't read a lot of the new content that comes out. I kind of struggle with what already is in D&D to keep track of, that like getting involved with the new stuff when I'm barely familiar with the stuff that already exists is difficult. So I tend to only look at them if I'm playing them as a PC. Otherwise, I mostly stick to the pretty basic stuff when I'm creating NPCs, unless it's I have something in mind that I need to branch out for. So for me, I probably wouldn't change most of the characters. So that's just the way that I am.
Well, for me, I like to. So I've read the D&D like 5e handbook, like cover to cover, like 3 separate times. That has not mean that I remember everything. It's just I like to read books. I'm a nerd. Anyway, so when one of the books that came out recently was Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. I'm sure some of you are familiar with that, but a lot of the new spells that came out in that book, they're like super cool, and a lot of them are really useful. Ultimately, though, like for me personally, I'm pretty satisfied with the way Shui is built, to where I wouldn't really kind of
I'm Hestia again.
yeah, like to
I am so sorry.
There goes Hestia. Now you get to see what we cut out of the podcast. Literally half the podcast is made up of this.
yeah, Hestia.
It's stupid.
It's either motorcycles or Zen's mom.
Yeah,
It's true. So I mean, one of the newest additions I saw on Tasha's was that, or well, for Bards specifically, is that at 2nd level they have something called Magical Inspiration, which lets them use their Bardic Inspiration, on like spell damage and healing rolls. I never like brought it up to Cassie that was like a thing now, because I mean I don't know, I just didn't, but. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe if I could take that, maybe I would.
I mean, I feel like sometimes with how unobservant I am, you could change your entire subclass and I wouldn't know.
You're like,
Shoot,
I don't know.
especially
You've had
for
that?
Shui.
Cool.
His is like so vague. Is he a bard? Question mark?
Is he a bard? I thought he was a fighter this whole time.
Yeah. Like Buster said, Shui just built different.
Yeah. I wouldn't change anything about Brandy because I made his everything. Like me and Cassie both worked on his subclass or subrace of Tiefling, because he's an Abigrim Tiefling. That's like an actual subrace for Brandy. And his subclass as a warlock is a Bloodlust warlock, which is a homebrew that I made completely myself. So I think that I don't know that I would change anything for him, like in terms of like what has come out. Like maybe if I look through the spells, I haven't added any new spells from like newer like Tasha's or anything like that have come out yet, but if I gave them a look through, I might float them by Cassie. But no, I don't think there's much to change for in terms of Brandy. I made that subclass like it was made for him essentially. Like no other subclass was like really what I wanted out of like Brandy as a character in terms of like warlock. So I was like, this is probably the best that I could get. So yeah, no changes.
Should we go in the same order every time? Shayna next.
Sure.
Okay.
We'll do that. Keep it simple.
I am less of a fan of D&D as I am just a fan of role-playing in general, so I don't pay much attention to D&D literally at all. It's only when I'm making a character sheet, and then I promptly forget everything. However, I did really like the Swarm Ranger, but I would want that for a different character.
That's fair.
Yeah.
The Swarm Ranger is really fun. They came out with a Dragon Ranger, and I want to play it so fucking
I saw
bad.
that
I
one.
want to play it so fucking bad. It looks so cool. Why can't Brandy just fucking die so I can play?
Oh my god.
Dragon Monk also, I almost decided to play it. It looks so cool.
Dragon Monk looks so cool.
Your answer, Jay.
Yeah, so as for Avayath, I wouldn't change much about Avayath because Avayath is a very like standard paladin type character. He doesn't really stray from the stereotype all that much. But there was one feat that I took that used to be UA feat, and now it's in Tasha's, called Skilled Expert, and I think this feat is like amazing. It lets you get expertise in whatever you want. And it bugged the fuck out of me that Avayath could not be an expert in religion unless he was part rogue. And I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. Like, you know.
He becomes a rogue just to study the Bible better.
Exactly. So, like, for me, skilled expert, I give it to so many of my characters now because I'm like, I really get to customize my characters now and make them specialize in the one thing that they should be good at.
That's valid.
Yeah.
You know, there it did come out. I think they did come out with a subclass that would really work for Avayath. For Paladin, I think it's Oath of Heroism.
Oh
I think
yeah.
they put that in Tasha's. I'm like, that feels like it's like made for Avayath.
Hmm.
Maybe I would actually go for that. I'd have to look at that, but I
Yeah.
probably would actually.
Mm-hmm. I'm just like Oath of Heroism just absolutely sounds 100% like Avayath.
Yeah. Can't believe I
I
didn't
think they
think
put it
of
into Tasha's. I know that it was a UA for a while. I think they put it into Tasha.
that. Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll move on to the next one then. This one is just for 2 characters. It'll be answered pretty fast. It's, was it always the plan for Brandy and Theo to get into a relationship, and who brought it up? And that is from
Yep.
KT.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes is the answer. We always planned for Brandy and Theo to be a thing because me and Shayna had talked about Brandy and Theo for up to like a year beforehand or some shit. Like, we've been talking about them for a while. And then when the podcast came up, we'd both been tossing around like character ideas in general. And then I was thinking, and I messaged Shayna and I was like, hey, you know what we could do though? We could apply with Brandy and Theo. We have a
And
chance
then-
to play them.
Then I was like, well, I'm not going to enter anyone else but Theo now. Because if Brandy gets in and Theo doesn't, I'll be extremely sad.
Yeah.
So I only entered Theo in the end.
Exactly, yeah. After that, I had another character I was thinking of, but then when I thought of that, I was like, nah, it's just going to be Brandy. I'm going to apply with Brandy, and we're going to go with that. Because aside from just to, like, have that relationship, just because it's, like, I don't know, I like it a lot, to be able to play Brandy, because I've wanted to play him for so long in a long-term thing, like, I was like, no, this is it. This is the character I have to go with. So, yeah. Yes, it was always a plan to make them gay.
I did. When I had everyone pick characters, it was an application process, so it wasn't necessarily these 4, which we'll get into a bit later. But I said basically when people applied to it, and they were all friends, by the way. We didn't do like strangers. It was our like personal D&D group that I opened applications to. So it was all people I knew and I'd been playing with for at least a year or 2 at that point. And I basically said, enter the character that you want to play the most right now, because I don't want you to spend a bunch of time making a bunch of applications and like be disappointed and not as invested in a character that I end up picking. So like, pick the character that you want the most was how we went about applications. So everyone entered the character that they wanted the most.
Yeah.
And that's how we ended up with this cast. So moving on to the question after that, for the cast in general, how did you go about making your characters? Besides Theo and Brandy, did any of you collaborate, or was it all solo? And that is from Buster Blade.
Cool.
Or Buster Blader, sorry.
You gotta get it right. Get it right. Come on. I'll go first. So Shui is a little bit different from the other characters. Yeah, he is. He was actually built different. He was built from the ground up, specifically for the Chosen Ones campaign.
Yeah, you like to do that a lot.
I do like to do that a lot. So my character creation process is generally I spend a lot of time thinking about, cultivating, I would say, a character concept, just kind of like hyper fixating on something that I super like and want to explore, and then from there I kind of expand out, and then I'll go through like personality, class, and stuff like that. It's usually the last thing that's on my mind, and I like to mold a character to the world they're going to be in, which is why I typically don't like, and not just like personality and backstory, but also like the way they appear, like the way they look, which is why I tend to make new characters like from the ground up for every campaign I'm in. For Shui specifically, he wasn't the only character I was considering for this, but he ultimately became like the one I like super focused on, because I had such a strong like image of who I wanted to play and what he was going to be like. And his beast blade, his sword, that was one of the like I would say the most driving factor for me selecting him, because I really wanted him to have a sword or something that kind of like an icon, I guess, and I wanted it to have like a significance beyond his comprehension. Beyond his comprehension. So yeah.
Cheer for Zen.
Yeah.
The police are cheering you on.
Anyway, that's basically me.
We
That's
live
just
downtown,
how I
so
am.
I'm so sorry. You're gonna hear, and 3 of us live together, so you're gonna hear echoes of the police and motorcycles because we are near a major street. So
Yep.
that's just how it be.
Sure do be. For making Brandy, I've had him for a while. I had him for like a couple years before, and I never really did much with him at first. Like, I had an idea for a character. I was like, I'm gonna make Brandy. I'm gonna make him, you know, a lot. I'm gonna make him a little tragic, because I was there was a philosophy going into making Brandy that I wanted to really explore, which I don't know if I should say it right now because it might kind of be spoilers. Not really. I don't know. But regardless, I had an idea for a character. I had a concept for a character of like, I want to do this. So I made Brandy and I played him a little bit. I played him in one-shots and a couple sessions that never really went anywhere. And then slowly over that time, I was slowly figuring him out, how he was like. And then me and Shayna started talking about Brandy and Theo for a long time, and it helped me develop him, like flesh him out a lot more and his personality and how he is. And then we did Chosen Ones, which me and Cassie worked to make his backstory usable in this game, because his backstory I almost didn't go with Brandy because his backstory is
He's a
his
dark
actual
boy.
backstory is really, really
He's a
dark.
dark boy.
Yeah.
It's like very dark. So I was like, we need to adjust this a little, and we did. We made it work. It works well. It's still dark, but
Yeah.
it's less than it was.
Just to quickly bounce off of that, because there's no question where this would get answered. But when we do character applications, I ask people with the character they enter, what on a range from 1 to 10, how dark are you willing to go? 10 being pitch black, 1 being like Animal Crossing. And I think everyone except Shayna, because Shayna entered a character that was a little different, gave me 10 for how dark I could go for the campaign.
Why, guys? Why'd you do that to me?
because it's
But no,
fun.
the thing is with the character that you enter, obviously, if you enter a character that's like a 9 would break them, then I'm not gonna make the campaign go to a 9.
Yeah.
And like that's part of like being a DM and communicating with your players, and if it ever gets to a point where it's unfun to play a character, what I can do to pull back or help facilitate it to be fun again.
Yeah.
So that's just part of the talking and making sure that, safety tools and things. Because I also ask, like, obviously, like, is there anything in the game that you can't handle or you don't want? Like, we do all that before we start as well. And we've played with each other for long enough that at this point, I think we tend to mostly know what people are and aren't okay with. But I think it's still good to have those things spelled out before a game starts of, like, you can't have this in a game and this is how dark it can go and all that, so...
Yeah.
That just interjecting into that because it bounced off of Brandy's backstory. I think
fair.
Are we on Shayna now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So with Theo, I created Theo in a batch of NPCs, so I didn't have much for Theo other than existential dread and pondering on the universe. And there was like a little bit of farm boy in there, but other than that, it was pretty basic. And then that game ended, and then I started a different game, so I reworked him. And that's when we thought of kind of Brandy and Theo, if they would work together. And I still wasn't that invested in Theo. I liked Theo the best out of the NPCs that I had, Theo and Fiera, because Fiera was also an NPC in that game. And basically what got me into like actually wanting to keep Theo as a character and not just a throwaway NPC was definitely RPing as Theo. And because I got so invested, and drawing the character also helps with investment. Because I got so invested, I was like, I have to use Theo in something. And when Chosen Ones was first coming about, I just kind of, there were a few other characters I was thinking of, but then when Ripley was like, what if we did Brandy and Theo? Because I wouldn't have wanted to enter Theo if Brandy wasn't going to be there. But once she was like, yeah, I think I am going to enter Brandy, I was like, well, I'm definitely only going to enter Theo then. It's exciting to have the thought of, oh boy, my character could get his sort of story told. Also, one other reason that I chose Theo for this campaign was his outlook on the universe. Like, it just seemed very relevant to Chosen Ones in general, how Theo thinks of fate. So I thought that would be really interesting for Cassie to work with.
Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah. So for Avayath, way back when Avayath was first created, it was actually part of like a character trade. I drew a character for my younger brother. My younger brother drew a character for me. And so that design that my younger brother gave me ended up being what I based Avayath on. That design was very based on Reinhardt from Overwatch.
Hold on, I think
and
I
a
have
lot
it.
of yeah, he had a very different helmet back then.
Very different.
Yeah, I changed the helmet drastically because
It'll take a while. It's on the
I
screen
just
for
won't-
them. It'll take a while for it to show.
Oh
for you.
yeah, okay. And yeah, so this design and Avayath's character was very based on Reinhardt because Reinhardt, I think what I liked about him so much was that he was like a big, strong guy, and he had like a tough personality, kind of preachy about justice and all that. But he wasn't like angry and scary like a lot of big, strong characters I knew in media from before. So I thought that was interesting, and I always like big, strong characters. So that was sort of the basis for Avayath. And then the first campaign he showed up in, he was an NPC. He was actually a D&D race called a Solar. Solars are like the strongest angel race in D&D.
And I don't know why I said you couldn't play that. Like, wow.
Yeah, why? Why not?
Couldn't I play him as a Solar? Yeah, I don't know.
I solar this whole time. That would make that jabber fight so much fucking easier. Avayath is just like, you don't exist anymore, and then they disappear.
I think I think Solars have like an arrow that they can shoot. That if they have 100 HP or less, they just die. Like,
Yeah,
he has a super 4. You would have a super 4-range power kill. Yeah, but yeah, and then once Chosen Ones was announced, I had an idea. I had ideas for Avayath. I think I actually tried to submit Avayath as a PC in something else. And his backstory in that something else was that he was special, that he was this great hero, infamous for slaying the undead. And so when Chosen Ones came out, I was like, oh, Avayath is perfect for this, because in the premise of something about Chosen Ones, Avayath would be like an obvious candidate for the next Chosen One. I thought that would be a cool dynamic to sort of offer to Chosen Ones. Yeah, and also Avayath was just a character I wanted to play really badly. Even if it weren't for the premise, I might have submitted him anyways.
He's fun. It's very interesting because when he was an NPC, I played him.
Oh yeah.
And he had never actually been. Jay had never played him as a PC at that point. Jay had given him to me as an NPC and then played him later. So it's very interesting to see how he actually is, and not me just given like bullet points for how to play him. Jay said I did well, despite only having a simple, a couple sentences to how to play him. But Jay said I did okay, because I played Avayath for like a year in that game, so just as a background NPC. So
I think all I really told you is that he's loud and boisterous, and then you did that, and I'm like, yep, that's Avayath.
I got
There he
it.
is.
I got it.
Fucking nailed it. Got it in one.
I mean, that's all he was at that point,
Yeah.
so.
And then
Yeah.
you branched off from that, obviously, and made him his own character to be able to play him.
Yeah.
All right.
So the contrast between Avayath and Brandy, pure coincidence.
so
they were
good.
made
I
solo.
love it.
Yeah.
I'm so happy it worked out that way because
It's
they
so
are like
good.
Jay
night
actually
and
wasn't
day,
going to
and
be
it's
in the
amazing.
podcast originally. We had a
Yeah.
last minute switch out, so it would not have. It was not purposeful.
Yeah.
It was
I'm
literally
so
glad it
good.
yeah.
happened, though.
It's very good, but there
so
was
good.
literally I think the week we were going to play, we had the switch outs. It was super last minute where I like approached Jay and was like, "Hey, we need a substitute for this." And Jay stepped in to take up the role because I had been actually between two people. They was actually between Zen and Jay, so there was also a chance that Zen wouldn't have been in this. And I had to it was a struggle because I didn't want more than a 4-person party. But I also was trying not to do the exact same party from the campaign that we did before, which we still ended up doing.
We still did. It
But
doesn't matter.
I was trying not to do that. That's just how the pieces ended up falling.
We just work well together.
We just do, yeah.
We bounce off each other really well.
But yeah, so that would have been very interesting. It seems so purposeful that you had Brandy and Avayath, that like we planned for them, but they were
Like,
not
just
originally
so-
going to be together.
Yeah, just so different. It's so fun to see their dynamic between one another has become Brandy being a bit of a shithead to Avayath, but like just their relationship over the course of Chosen Ones is I love it so much.
I think Jay was in more campaigns than Zen at the time, was the reason. Well, not the main reason. It was very close.
Yeah.
But it was like, I think that was part of the deciding factor, but then like a bunch of things ended up getting canceled actually. So
Yep.
that's how D&D goes.
Shit gets canceled.
Shit gets canceled, and you just gotta keep going with it. Try not to let it get you down. And
Yep.
Chosen Ones is now my longest running campaign, so
Hell yeah.
moving on to the next question. Is there anything you would change about your PC? What would it be? Design, personality, backstory? We kind of have answered this a little bit, but if you guys want to go a little bit more in depth, if there's anything, you can also skip this if you feel like you've answered it. This one was by Anon. So basically, if you could change anything about your PC, any part of them, physical, mental, backstory, anything.
So, like I said, I'm pretty happy with the way Shui is. He does have a lot of shortcomings. He's not very smart. He's really, really gullible. And he gets excited very easily. I think his design is pretty unique as well. I think if there was anything that I could change about Shui, it would maybe be actually no, never mind.
Never mind.
No, I don't know. I think maybe I would try to work with Cassie to maybe do a class that's more customized and suited for him. But that's all I can really think of right now.
I think it's just because you play Shui very much with the intentions of how he acts as a character, and he very much wants to use the Beast Blade, so he uses it every chance that he can, despite the fact that he can do other things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that. And that was, like I said earlier, that was intentional. But yeah.
That's fair. I guess I'll go. If there was anything I could change about Brandy, less tattoos. That's it. Fuck his tattoos. This is a downgrade from how many he's had in the past. He used to be like fully covered, and it was so much. Drawing them is so annoying. The only thing I would ever do literally is just decrease the amount of tattoos that he has. Otherwise, I adore him. I've already adjusted him slightly because if you notice, people will notice. He got new art because I was able to portray more. I figured out like what I wanted from him a bit more. So now he's got big monster claws instead, and he's a bit bigger, like wider as a person.
Make him wider.
So, yeah.
Sorry.
Make him wider. Yeah. So I got him. I wanted him to be a little more monstery looking, so I did that, and then less tattoos would be the only adjustment I make. Less tattoos, because fuck drawing them. They are annoying.
Yeah, and he had the bandages for a while because he didn't want to show.
He didn't want
them.
to show the tattoos because as people
they were
found
not
out,
his skin.
They were not his skin. People thought they were, and that's just because I was bad at drawing bandages. But yeah, now he shows them because he's got nothing to hide whatsoever. Wink.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wonk.
Shayna.
So the only thing that I would really want to change about Theo, because honestly I think Theo is built pretty perfectly for what he is. He's flawed in the ways that I want him to be, and he's good at what I want him to be good at. The only thing I would change is his portraying how much he does like thinking about the universe, and how much he likes stargazing. I would love to have redone and just been like, Theo's been watching the stars, but it's hard to think of at the time because other things were happening. So I just kind of forgot that aspect of Theo, of how much he really liked watching the stars and thinking about the universe itself, and not extremely negatively.
Mm-hmm. That's valid.
Yeah, as for Avayath, I would change his fucking voice. I can't. I'm just kidding. Through one line of dialogue without someone interrupting me with a joke.
That is so good. It's true. Even in
that's valid.
sessions, we
cannot
cannot have a serious scene like with Jay and Avayath
without making fun of his fucking voice. We do it so much where we do
cut
his
out
voice
quite
where
a
he
bit
says
of it.
stupid shit. Yeah, we do it.
It's not even like
wild how
haha
much we
funny,
do it.
like it's funny background blooper stuff. Usually we're just fucking with Jay. It's not even like worth keeping as a blooper half the time.
Literally, we're just fucking with him. And
Yeah, no, but that's not a serious answer. I'm joking though. I actually love his voice.
yeah, his voice, I could not imagine him with any
If I
other
could change
voice.
anything about my character, it would be how other people make fun of my character. Is
But
the
that's-
true answer.
That's what's so great about Avayath though, is that he's so memeable. He's so fun to make fun of. Like,
Yeah.
No, I would not trade that out actually. Just how goofy he can be at times is just a lot of fun. But if I were to actually change something, I think I would give him more hobbies just so that he has more things to talk about. Because the thing
Other
is,
than clay toy?
yeah, the thing is, I like that he's obsessed with adventuring and working out and his religion, like those three hobbies. He's so obsessed with them that that's all he has time for. I kind of like that, but at the same time, it's like maybe he'd have more to say if he delved into other things a little bit.
That's fair.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of a nitpick, really. Avayath is like my favorite character to play in D&D.
We're all just like,
honestly.
we hit it out of the park, you guys. I'm sorry. We're fucking perfect.
Yeah, we just nailed it. Like, I'm sorry, we just fucking, they're perfect. I don't know. They're practically the best characters that anyone could have.
We'll move on to the next question, though. This one is to me, and three different people actually asked this. I just kind of combined it into one question, and it was, how did you come up with the idea of Chosen Ones, and what made you decide to make it a YouTube podcast? And that was asked by Settings, Buster Blader, and oh no,
Ellis Squin,
Ellis Squin.
Corchiel.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. Ellis Skin Corchiel, however you
Quinn?
say Ellis Quinn, is that how you said it?
I have no idea.
I'm so sorry. But anyway, I'm sorry about that. But so how did I come up with the idea of Chosen Ones? Chosen Ones did just start off originally as a one-sentence prompt, basically, that I had thought of. I kind of like following certain ideas, even if they're a little cliche, and then like expanding upon them. It usually just starts with a one sentence idea for me. Like the first campaign we ever ran was like, what if you all woke up on a ship and you have no idea how you got there, and there's like an evil genie, because I like genies. And that was basically the whole prompt of the first campaign we ever ran. And then when I did my second campaign, it was basically like, what if you're all bad guys working for the main bad guy? And that was how the second campaign we did came about. And this one just came about, what if you were in a society where it is expected that there is a chosen one, and one of you are going to be a chosen one. And that was it. And when I had been planning this, originally it was not for a podcast. I had 4 other ideas at the time when I was thinking about what I wanted to run after the current game I was running, and did like a little poll. And I don't even remember if Chosen Ones actually won that poll, but I had a couple other ideas I was tossing around. But basically, after my last campaign ended, I wanted something that, at least from a premise standpoint, wasn't as dark as that campaign.
Yeah, that's fair.
And this like has the potential to go into darker territory for sure, but it doesn't start with that. And I think that was the major difference, is the last campaign that we did started in the dark, and it only got darker, and it was a very hard campaign to both DM and be a part of. It caused like actual stress for everyone involved at certain points. Maybe not everyone involved, but enough people that it was hard to keep going. And so I wanted something that was a little bit more of a lighthearted premise, and this felt like, of the ones that I had, the best one to do, and also the best one from a podcasting perspective. Very adventuring. It kind of, we're very anime-y in nature and how we play, just from our influences, and it kind of came from that. And why I decided to make it a YouTube podcast is because I am a YouTuber. No.
I'm a YouTuber. I have
YouTube,
10,000 subscribers.
Oh my god. YouTube is my main platform. That is where I make most of my content. And I wanted to also make it a visual production because I'm a visual person. And even when I'm drawing, I tend to watch things that have visuals up on one of my screens because I just need that element. So I was making something that I wanted to see. It's hard for me to listen to podcasts actually without having some kind of visual. So that I was making something that I would be interested in and I would want to consume and watch. And that was why it ended up being YouTube. And it's also why making it a podcast is not necessarily my priority. We do have it on podcasting platforms. It's not up to date. It will never be fully up to date. It will eventually all be on there. But it's just not my priority. 3 years
after Chosen Ones,
it's just not my priority because I want people to watch it on YouTube. There's a lot of effort that's put into the visuals for certain scenes, and I feel like you don't necessarily get certain atmospheres or things without having those visuals. You can't experience what the cast is experiencing because they get those visuals. So you can hear their reactions to things, but without actually seeing what they're seeing. Like, the last episode was a great example. The only description that you got from the character that was seen was that they were 15 feet tall, and if you had not been looking at your screen for that scene, you had no idea what Theo was looking at. So, it's that kind of stuff. It's hard to take out that visual element because we are all artists, and we use a lot of visuals in our show, so YouTube was just the best place for it. And I had, like, 9,000 subscribers or something when we started, and it was the place where the most eyes would see it. It just made sense.
Mm-hmm.
And in the past, we've done a podcast too that was also on YouTube, so it just made sense that was where we were going to put it. And we will move on from that now. How did you guys meet? And that is also from I'm so sorry,
Evangelyne.
Okay, guys.
Yeah?
Let me try.
Go for it.
Yeah. So, I believe the Q is supposed to be like an A, right? So I think it's like
Elysian
Portal or something like that.
That's fair.
Elysian
Maybe
Portal?
it's supposed to be like an A,
Right?
Elysian.
You see what
I mean, that makes more sense. Yeah.
They may not even be here right now, and if they were, they probably left after that.
You fucked it up, and I'm leaving. I hate this podcast now. You fucked up my username. But you know what? Valid.
And I think we talked about having Jay kind of start for this one.
Yeah.
Because he kind of started it all.
We met through an art community, and on the forum, I started my own roleplay called Shadow Slayers. Shadow Slayers was a very dark, edgy sort of story where there are these shadow creatures called Fearin who are destroying the world. And it's like this medieval setting where your characters have to save the world from the Fearin that are overrunning it. They saved the world in 3 fights and won by real fast, but
You say it went by real fast. That
It
RP
did
was
not.
like 60 pages of like 20 people.
Like 100.
It was a lot
Like,
more than the 60 pages.
It was like 100
Yeah.
pages.
It was like 100 pages of people role playing constantly. Like 20 people.
176.
Oh my god. Okay.
yeah. So the thing
Wow.
is, like, hex roleplays on that forum would always die in like a week or less. And then this roleplay started. One person entered, and then for 3 days just complete silent. And I was like, well, this one's going nowhere, just like all the others. And then all of a sudden, 19 more people joined this same roleplay.
Yeah, we were all
And it
like,
was.
Well,
Yeah.
I saw that only like 3 people or 2 were entered. I don't remember if Zen was one of them. I think
I
so.
was, yeah.
Yeah,
It
and I was like, oh, I don't want Zen's RP to flop or Jay's RP to
Jay.
flop. So I entered with my character, and then just so many people entered, and I was not prepared for that because I
And it
was
would
like,
post-
yeah, small RP because I'm shy and I don't do well in groups.
and then
yeah.
yeah.
group of 20 people later.
It's crazy because I think we were all on the same art forum and Skype group, I believe.
Yeah.
But
Fucking
the
stupid
community was so large that even though we were all in the same group, it was hard to actually kind of it was hard to like catch, it was hard to interact with each other. And so when
RPing
Jay-
is what brought us together.
yeah, so when
Yeah.
Jay started the Shadow Slayers RP, it kind of made that community a little bit smaller. I would say,
we like branched
We
off.
did actually
yeah.
meet technically before Jay's RP, but that is what like brought us together because I had
That's
a group.
what made us like friends.
I had a
yeah.
group before that, which was art cult, is what I called it. That was just a bunch of artists from people from one of the larger groups that I had met, and it included like Zen and Shayna and Ripley. And I don't know if Jay, were you in it before? You've left and come back a couple times. I don't know if you were in the original.
No, I
I
don't
know
think
his
so.
brother
No.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
My brother was and I wasn't.
So yeah.
I left pretty early though myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just basically a smaller group, which happens when you have really big groups. People branch out and make their own smaller groups. But then when Jay made the RP, that's when we kind of formed another group again based around RPing.
And I barely knew any of you really.
Yeah.
I think I knew Jay probably the best, and then Cassie, and then I met Zen through the RP.
Yes.
And Ripley, I sort of knew that of you, but I definitely got to know you better through the RP. But it took a
Yep.
while before we actually became friends.
Yeah, but now we're best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would also say, I lost my train of thought, is what I would also say. Immediately gone, whatever it was. So we'll move on to the next question.
Well, yeah, it was after that then once the role playing ended, we were like, what if we got into D&D? And then now we're here.
Well, yeah, because
5
the
years
next
later.
question kind of leads into that. And it was, when did we all start originally playing D&D? Fashion asked that. And then Anon asked us, how long have I been a dungeon master? And those lead into each other because I was the first dungeon master of our group. How long ago was that? Was it?
It was like 5-6 years ago.
It was
like
when I was
2015,
a senior in
2016.
college. We started, I think, during the summer of when I had just like right before I was graduating. No. We started the summer I was going into my senior year of college, I think.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to finish the campaign before summer ended because I was going back to college. And I graduated
like 5 years ago.
I
yeah.
graduated in 2018, so that would put us at, I think, 2018 for our first. No, it would be 2017 then for our first campaign. I think
Is that right?
it might have
I
been
don't know
2018.
that right.
It's
I
it
feel
might
like it
it's
was-
I think it might be 2018.
It had to be 2017 because that's when I made Halen was December 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So it had to have been 2017 because
Okay.
I think 2016 was
I can go
more
and look
Shadow
at
Player.
And it was
my
like,
OC's ref.
I don't know, fucking, like June maybe May or July. It was over the
Let
summer.
me look at my boys' ref. Give me a sec. I'll tell you. Because I made that ref like right when we started. So
Yeah, and me and Ripley are like the forever DMs of our group.
we sure are. It was March of 2017.
Okay, well, a little sooner than I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically me and Ripley. Ripley started her campaign not shortly after, but near the end, I think. Like, we were running at the same time, but you waited a month or two. And the first campaign we did was only a 3 or 4 month long campaign. It was only like 13 sessions or something. It was pretty short. And, but yeah, that's why me and Ripley, it's very hard for us to play together in games. Because usually we're DMing the other. So, oops.
But yeah, that first game. It's funny that this question came up because literally just the other day I went to my Google Drive and was looking through and I saw a file that was like D&D things and I was like, this is weird, what is this? And I clicked on it and it was all our old character sheets from that first game. And I was like, dang, look at that. We didn't know how to play this fucking game at all. This is all
We were
wrong.
so bad. The rules did not exist.
I played the worst character for it.
You sure fucking did.
I didn't know how to add modifiers, so my boy was so fucked up.
At one point, I turned Shayna's character into a ghoul, and I read the thing wrong. I didn't see that you were supposed to roll a d20 plus your modifier to be able to hit. I read that as the damage. So Shayna's character could bite someone and get a max d20 plus their modifier.
He fucking ate through people's legs like they were fucking taffy. Like he just like consumed
the most OP bite. So that means if you
keep that detail.
So that means if you nat 20'd, you would have been able to do 40
2d20 fucking damage.
You would have been able to do 40 damage if you maxed.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
We did not know how to play D&D back then. We were like, we'll figure it out as we go along. One of our players kind of played D&D. They played Pathfinder.
Zen was so sick of playing his character that he asked me to curse him to be lawful good because he was so sick of playing chaotic evil.
Yeah.
Bald shoe.
Bald shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game was extremely fun. That game was our introduction, and after that, we've literally been playing constantly since. Like through like 100 different games. We've all like just been like, and let's do this and this and this. Let's just keep playing fucking D&D because it's so fun. It's so fun to RP and like play this game together. So yeah, and it started all fucking 4 years ago.
And while it's not entirely canon because that game was really rough, all of my games connect to each other. There are gods and characters in this campaign that were from the very first one that we ever ran. So all of my stuff takes place, most of my stuff takes place in the same world. Not every single thing that I've ran. Like, not every single one-shot or, like, small story has been in the same exact universe, but most things take place in the Chosen One's universe. So there's a lot of things. That's why we have to cut a lot of things, and we have to be careful about what we talk about, and I have to be very careful about what I tell the audience, because the players know things. This is a prequel to the last game that we played. So they know things. Things have been introduced, and ooh, dramatic music. And then and they already know. They already know certain aspects of the world. They don't know everything, but they do know quite a bit. So yeah.
We know quite a bit of things.
I actually joined way later.
You did.
D&D. Yeah. So even though I started the first text role play, I didn't join D&D until like a year or year and a half. I don't know how long. You guys were playing D&D for a long time before I joined in.
Yeah, it was easily like over a year before you started like hanging out.
Yeah. It's because Cassie had another podcast called Fool's Paradise that like got me super interested in like D&D, and I was like, damn, I want to play D&D with these guys, so I just asked.
Fool's Paradise was our first podcast.
Yeah, and it's not up anymore.
Don't look for it.
And it's bad. It was canceled because of many reasons.
Many
reasons. But it was our first attempt, and I think it was a good first attempt. And I missed the days where I didn't care about view count. Oh, those were good.
That was the time.
That was nice, but I also was not consistent. I think I uploaded an episode, like one would be like every 2 weeks, and at one point it was like every 2 months. I was not consistent at all. And our recording, we recorded through like Google Hangouts or something, and we didn't record separate tracks. It was bad. It was bad podcasting.
Yeah, it was bad. It was
we play with music now, so when we play games, the cast has music that they hear, which helps a lot with tone. But we didn't have any music, so we had to play in complete, total silence. I didn't have voice mods. It was completely different atmosphere.
But like, you say that, but like that first session we did / first episode was so good. It was honestly, it was so good. It was like the best.
And we recorded it in like an hour. It was like literally the episode that we released that was an hour was also like we recorded the whole thing in an hour. That was the session, which was kind of wild.
Yeah, it was very fun.
It ended with them all dying.
The
characters, the cast, I would say were not as podcast.
Oh, definitely not. You guys, I feel like would have struggled because they were not friendly with each other. They were evil. Or evil or neutral was the guidelines. That was the campaign where we tried to do it, where they were working for a bad person. And we also ended that podcast, and then we restarted it, except we took out the fantasy aspect. Basically, they died and went to a fantasy purgatory, and we took that out, and we just did modern for the second run of it, and we couldn't make that a podcast because my recording software fucked up. So we had a couple unusable episodes, so we weren't able to make that a podcast anymore. But we still just played it.
Fun.
It was fun, and I don't think it would have been a good podcast. It was, I think, like 6 months into recording before the party actually bonded with each other, and that would have been rough. It was like 28 sessions or something. And just so you guys know, the episodes that are coming out right now, the one that we released last week, I think is session 12. So that would be like 40, 50, 60 episodes with the characters not liking each other. It would have been rough.
It would have been really rough.
It made as a character player, it made it pay off so well when they did like
it did, but it would have been hard from an audience perspective. It was funny. These like fucking chuckle fucks messing with each other because they were all kind of nefarious in their own ways. But
we got to get off this question. We have like a billion others.
Oh, we do. I'm so sorry.
20 minutes on this question.
Whenever we bring up FP, I go on a tangent because that campaign was like a year of my life. So we will move on to... I'm going to actually ask you guys first instead of me. So to everyone, who's your favorite NPC? And that is from Fashion.
I'll go first. So it's hard for me to choose one, like to just really sit down and choose one. But honestly, if I had to list only one, I'd say Winona. I really like Winona. I like her whole situation. Like the whatever she's got going on is kind of it's really interesting to me. I like talking to her as Shui. I like going up into the main spoiler. And I don't know. I just really like just her mystery. There's a lot to her that we just don't know yet. And I can't wait for you guys to learn more, and for myself to learn more. Other than that, I mean, I like Peter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of it is you liking Peter, and how much of it is Shui leaking into you?
A lot of it is me. It's like it's mixed.
Are you leaking into Shui?
Yeah, I am. Like, I'm not gonna. That's me. It's me.
If we're staying in our order, that would be you next, Ripley.
Arthur.
That might surprise some people.
Arthur's my favorite.
Surprises me.
Yeah. Arthur's my favorite NPC.
Kind of
I
makes
hate
sense,
him.
I guess.
I hate Arthur, but he's my favorite NPC. He's so interesting. If I wasn't playing Brandy, if I was playing a character more open to things, he would, I have characters that would be all over the shit Arthur talks about. and like would want to do the same shit, but I'm playing Brandy and he's just so at odds with Arthur because he's so emotional versus Arthur is so logical that like they just can't meet. But I find him super interesting. I adore his character. I hate him as a person, but I adore his character.
Yeah.
And he's extremely interesting.
All right. Shamus said Theo. Shayna.
No, Theo.
Well, you know who my favorite is.
Well,
PC though. So my favorite NPCs, because there's so many good ones. It's really hard to choose. Win has a special place in my heart because he was in the first game I DM'd, and also he's precious and just everything that I love. Otherwise, I love Peter, just in a different way.
Mhm.
It's like a lot of the game that's been played out so far, Theo has been upset with Peter, so I have just not been able to really interact with him because Theo was not happy with how Peter acted. But I really love him, and I look forward to drawing more fan art of Peter. Anyway, other than that, there is an NPC in the future that will be coming up that I am in love with, and if you're part of the Patreon squad, you would have heard me screaming hearing his name be referenced.
Yeah.
But so those are my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Avayath. It's because your guys' name
Avayath.
and your name in our Discord is your character name and then your name in parentheses because we just never changed it from the Halloween stream in October. So
Sure didn't.
So I keep wanting to call you your character name, but Jay.
It's fine. It works well.
If you call me Avayath by accident, I'm going to answer the whole question in Avayath's voice.
Oh no.
But it's really hard to choose. Like for me, all the mentors in Arthur are like top tier. It's hard to choose between them. I mean, Win and Peter in particular, I really love. If I have to pick one character, I guess I'm going to go with Peter, but not by a lot. Just it's already been revealed in the podcast, but there's a big plot twist involving Peter that really, like, captured me, I guess. Really had me sympathizing for him and understanding him. I think about it a lot.
J2 is going through the same thing Peter is.
I did warn people in the description that we might talk about spoilers because questions reference them. So we might talk about spoilers, but
spoiler warning.
That one's such a big spoiler that like I was like, I don't have to say. People will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, true. You also can reference things and people probably will know. For me, because the question follow-up to that for the DM was, what's my favorite NPC to play as? And that would be Arthur. I feel like it's pretty obvious in the way that I play him. There's just something very fun about playing excited, kind of a little bit eccentric characters. And he's so passionate about when he's not talking about things that he's passionate about, he's kind of more subdued, off to the side. He kind of blends into the background up until episode 20. When he has an episode that's almost entirely dedicated to his stuff. And he is just so fun to play because that character type is just so interesting and fun for me to play. People who are like so fascinated and into the things that they're talking about. I mean, me as a person relates to that, so it's very easy to play him. He's just very fun for me to play. For a long time, I think probably up until episode 20 with Arthur, where I finally got to actually be able to play him fully, it was Peter. And Peter has a special place in my heart because he's my oldest character that I still use. And I just know a lot about Peter. So even if he's very subdued and kind of edgy, very edgy, I just understand him so well as a character that he's very fun for me to play as well. So,
I do really, really enjoy like how you play Arthur. All the mentors really, but especially Arthur. He's built different.
So we will move on from that. This is for me. What is your personal favorite thing about each PC? And that is from
Butter us up. Let's go. Come on.
Give us compliments.
I'm just gonna go down the order. Avayath, in terms of like my favorite thing from him is honestly, he doesn't show it a lot, but I do like how kind of sensitive he is a little bit to things, even though he doesn't like let on as much. He has a very like boisterous, loud attitude most of the time. But it is in the moments that he is shaken up by something, you kind of see a more vulnerable part of him where he's just trying to do what everyone expects of him to do. And in those instances where he can't, it just hits me. Like,
it's so good. I agree.
It is very good
So
for
good.
his character. For Brandy, I just fucking love edgy characters. Peter, like, I made Peter. Like, it's pretty I don't know, like, if I wouldn't just say my favorite thing is like the edginess of Brandy necessarily, but I do appreciate that Ripley was not afraid to just kind of go all out in terms of dark with him, because I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily I can get away with saying that as a trait though, but I don't know. I think it is kind of funny how he bullies Avayath.
Thank you. It's my favorite thing to do.
He, gets Avayath's god's name wrong on
Intentionally.
purpose, and messes with him, and Avayath doesn't catch it sometimes when he's doing it, but it's funny to me to see it when he's doing it. And then with Shui, I would say I really like how he always kind of has a positive attitude, even to like comedic effect sometimes. Like horrible things can be happening around him, and he just was like, "It's all good though, and don't worry because Master Dashi told me."
Okay.
Yeah.
My parents.
So my dead parents, by the way, or missing parents.
And I do kind of enjoy that because with this plot that we have going, there are moments that are kind of dark, and it's nice to have a person in the party that I can kind of know is going to bounce back. Shui is very easy to bounce back, even when he's in his darkest moments. He can still find good in what's happening around him and like be grateful for what he does have. And for Theo, I would say we need someone a little more down to earth and like realistic by far, especially with the other three characters with how extreme they are in their own ways. But besides that, I would also say I really enjoy the curious nature of Theo, and how he is very interested in things, but he does also still have that like that mental like block to be like, let's not go too far. He's curious, but to a degree where he's not going to fuck everyone over to look at things.
Yeah.
And I like that about him as a character, because in a party of a lot of extremes, I think it is also good to have one who's like nurturing and kind and good for the whole party.
Down to earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
You're gay.
And for everyone, as I go turn my light on as it gets very dark around me,
Yeah, I had to do that earlier.
what makes a D&D campaign fun for you? And that is from Anon.
Go for it.
Okay, I'll go first. I just like going first, I guess.
Yeah.
That's my character trait as a person. Anyway, so what makes a D&D campaign fun for me? I feel like this is a question that I could talk about for a while. But
Yeah, man.
because I really do like D&D. I mean, it's not even just D&D, just role playing in general. Is something that I am really into and have a lot of fun with. But I will say that for D&D, I think exploring and immersing in a world other than my own it's one of the things that I love most about it. Creating these characters and exploring all of these different like personalities and facets of them, and actually like act like voicing as them, and instead of just typing. I think all of that is really fun. It gives me like a better perspective. I feel like I understand people more, like just in real life. which is kind of it's weird to say because like you know a lot of the characters in D&D are pretty extreme and you know they're fantasy and stuff, but I think
Everybody puts a little bit of their selves into their
yeah,
character. It's
right.
inevitable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can't think of any character traits that half of Cassie's characters exemplify.
Nope.
That's my answer. Yeah, I just really like exploring the world. Just creating a character is something that I really enjoy. I do that a lot, where I'll just create a character, but not even like apply to any like campaigns or like roleplay groups or anything like that. I don't know. I just like the process. Anyway, that's fun. That's fun.
Same.
Bye.
For me, what makes a D&D campaign fun for me, I'm usually a DM. It's very rare that I get to play games. When I'm playing, it's the RP aspect. I love role playing. I love talking as my character with my friends' characters and building their relationships and seeing how those ebb and flow and like interacting with NPCs. I super love the exploration aspect or the like information gathering aspect of it. I'm just so curious by nature that I do a ton of theorizing. I do a ton of like trying to like figure things out, and I look into so many things. Next game I need to play somebody who's like that to the extreme, who is that type of character, because there are certain things with Brandy I'm like he probably wouldn't, but yeah, I love deep dives into like lore and stuff like that. I just love things like that and figuring out how worlds work and how things piece together. As a DM, I like to do that, but on the opposite side of like creating these mysteries and these weird places that things connect together and creating NPCs that are like interesting and engaging and all fleshed out. I make all of my NPCs like I make my PCs. Like every NPC I make that has like a reference and stuff like that, all of them have character sheets, all of them have like, you know, backstories and things that they are doing in their lives, because I want interesting characters for the PCs to interact with. So yeah, I think above all else though, like RPing with friends is like the biggest drive in terms of like what I enjoy most. Just playing the game, interacting, stuff like that.
My favorite part of D&D is having my character get the chance to make connections with other characters. The RP aspect is the most fun for me. It also, it's like when you're playing D&D and you're like talking as your character, you feel kind of special with how like you get to be like, hey, this is my character that you're getting to know, and your character is getting to know my character. And it's just really fun. And other than the actual RP and D&D, I like outside of D&D being able to create a lot of projects based on what we play. So like animatics, animation needs, just all kinds of I love to make things particularly for like others. It's so much easier if I'm like making something for someone else rather than if it's for myself. I get so much more invested in other people's concepts because I feel weak in that area of like making something cool. So everyone here makes such cool things. So I'm like, it's like I'm a fan, but I get to interact with the content that I'm a fan of, like a huge fan of. So I get so excited to create content based on it. So that's really what's exciting to me.
I love how mystical the music is for this question.
Yeah.
It's about us exploring the D&D world.
You're
Yeah, so for me, as soon as we got this question, I thought we were going to go on a tangent about role-playing over combat, how we prefer role-playing.
I mean, that's a given.
But, yeah. And like, of course, I prefer role-playing over combat. Role-playing is my favorite aspect of it. I've just found D&D to be the most fun way to sort of learn about each other's characters and have, as Shayna said, how our characters interact. Because for me, like, if I were to write a book or if I were to make an animation takes too much work, but it's like if I were to make my own thing, other people would have no reason to show interest in it. They don't get to interact with it in any way. I found that D&D is just the most fun way to sort of share our characters and their stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say for me, I always have. I tend to DM a lot, and DMing, I would say at this point, is my favorite to being a PC. I struggle sometimes with deciding which it is, but in this moment of my character arc, I prefer DMing.
Your D&D career.
Yeah, my D&D career. I prefer DMing. And I think it's just because, especially as I've gotten older, my mind struggles to pay attention and wander, and like being a DM forces me to pay attention and stay present in the moment, because if I'm not, then the whole thing will fall apart. So I think it's just easier for me to stay a DM for longer, whereas being a PC, sometimes I can struggle if I'm having like an off day or like keeping my mind on what we're doing. But besides like just that, I guess, I always have had really big projects and really big ideas. Even before this, I wrote like long novels and stuff like that in my free time. I made animated shows, not fully animated, but I made shows with very big, huge, extravagant plot lines and things like that. But I could never finish things. I could never find the motivation to fully finish something or to continue with something for longevity, and also be able to like continue to produce content. So for me, D&D has created something where I'm having a lot of fun, but I do enjoy making things and presenting things and showing things, and I want people to experience my worlds and my ideas, and that's what D&D gives me. Is it lets me showcase a lot of things that I wouldn't otherwise be able to, because even if no one else is listening, my cast is, and I do have an audience. So that's always been really helpful for me, for being able to continue to play D&D and to do things. And it's fun. It's fun to make people feel like they're special and they have a lot of impact, and that they are exploring the world and the world is giving back to them, and that they have what's the word? Not initiative. Impact.
No, that's right.
Initiative. Yeah. That they are able to do things and change things. And that's part of the fun of it too, is that my stories would not be as good if I was the only person making them. D&D is a collaborative effort, and working with other people and seeing how they react, and a lot of times they don't react the way that I think they're going to, pushes me to be a better writer and a better story creator.
Of the whole interactive aspect, I forgot to mention, I'm a very private person, and I struggle really hard with communicating, but it's not so hard when I'm playing a character. I do get burnout really easily, so I do struggle to always like play too often, but like having D&D there is a really fun way to have an activity with your friends.
Yeah. I'd say our personality types all work, and we don't play super often, so it's not usually that bad. We usually play once, maybe twice a month.
I'd play every fucking day if I could.
I know you could. I could not. There's a lot of prep work that goes into this game.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll move on. Wait, no, we're into... Was that everyone? Yes, because we just went back to Shanna.
Yeah.
So I was like, and now it's Jay's turn again.
I just remembered a thing. remembered a thing.
So moving on from there, what is everyone's favorite spark ability revealed so far? And that's from Anon.
So far is the key word here.
So far.
That is okay. So I got permission to say this.
You did.
Kind of, sort of. But my favorite spark revealed so far is actually going to be revealed next episode.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah, so you guys look out for that. You'll know it
Stay
when
tuned.
you hear it or see it. Yes, I'm just gonna skip this question.
Yeah, watch next episode, everybody.
Zen taps out.
Yeah, I'm tap out.
Anyway, mine is narcissistic. Mine's Brandy's. I love Brandy's spark. I think it's so fun. especially, I think it's more the way it was revealed in podcast than the spark itself. But I do like his spark a lot. I think it's really fun. It's like a very souped up version of like Hellish Rebuke, essentially. I just love it, especially how it was revealed in the first fight with Avayath, when Avayath one-shot him and he immediately took Avayath out with him. Was just, I love it. It's just such a good scene in the podcast, and it was great. It was one of my favorites. So I think, damn, this song really fucking went off.
It really, yeah.
But yeah, Brandy's Spark, I think, so far at least in podcast, is my favorite. But I think there are probably others later on that I prefer.
I can't remember exactly, but when Brandy used his Spark against Avayath, was that the first time he used it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Okay.
If I didn't see it coming, otherwise he might have held back.
That was the first time.
Okay.
Yeah. Like in his past, he's used it before, but like in game, that was like his first time like using it in front of anyone. Yeah, he just thought it was something he could do. He didn't know.
Because it does imitate Hellish Rebuke in a way. So
exactly.
He thought that he's like, I think he says when he first does it, he's like, other tieflings could do it too, because he didn't realize that it was different.
Yeah,
it was way more powerful. Than
he didn't realize he was just built different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do especially love how dramatic and cool Brandy's Spark was revealed, and the boisterous Avayath Spark was not revealed so grandly.
It was so funny.
It to be, but it's strangely fitting in a different way for it to be just kind of for Avayath Spark. Is it my turn?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, my favorite spark, and you might laugh, but I'm thinking about the spark in like, because I think it's at the end of its kind of potential, but if it wasn't at the end of its potential, I think it could be really powerful, especially as a Chosen One ability. It's actually Erm's spark.
Okay, that's very fair.
It's like, when you think about it, he just kind of has shadow clones, really, that just do whatever he does. But if you think about what it could be if it was a Chosen One ability, it could be so powerful.
Yeah.
And I just think that's really cool. I had to think about it, but honestly, I think Erm's Spark it has the potential to be really incredible.
Very valid.
It's a shame he's gonna die tomorrow.
Yeah, Erm is withering.
Essel, I'm just waiting for it, because Essel said, like, yeah, he's almost dead, and we're like, when's it gonna happen? When's he gonna die? He said that like he's gonna die soon.
The Essel with the future vision, it's very intimidating for her to be the one to say that.
Exactly, her being like, he's almost at the end of his life. It's like, yeah? When?
Is that a prophecy? Like...
Literally. Go, Jay.
So for me, my favorite spark is winds. I think the utility of it is super interesting and cool. The fact that nobody can hit him with magic, like his sparring match against Avayath.
So useful.
Yeah.
So useful.
They were like trying to communicate that the jabber wasn't a bear, but they couldn't. They thought everyone was shooting a bear, and then he came in and like just nullified that completely. And of course, him sticking around Peter, I didn't get that at first, but when I understood the reason, I was like, "Oh, that makes sense."
Yeah. What I like about Win is that like his spark is really like useful, really strong, really dangerous, right?
Yeah.
But I like how he's just all bleh about it. Like he's just
I got this ability, I guess.
Win as a character, I don't know how much it comes out in podcasts, but he actually very much wants to use magic. So his spark is very mean to him in particular. He trained to be a fighter because he could not use it. So, and he didn't realize the reason he couldn't use it is because that was a result of his spark, which hadn't fully developed at the time until he became a Chosen One. So, yeah, his anti-magic means that he can't use magic. He also can't be healed, which is why it can be very dangerous for that. He can't go to the keep. He can't do a lot of things because he can't use magic.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that it's a blessing and a curse is also what I like about it. I was going to mention that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a cool aspect to it. Like, it's very risk reward. Like, yes, no magic can affect him, which is fucking major in a world of like people who could like power word kill you. Like, yeah, but like, yeah, you can't be healed and you can't like teleport and you can't like, you have to do everything physically, and it's like, oof, that also sucks. But like, dang, I don't know. I think the pros outweigh the cons in that scenario, but like, yeah, it's really fun. It's really cool.
Oh my god, you said that, and I just remember like he had to walk to like the new.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't teleport.
Because Libris said that she's moving the compound, but he would have to walk because he can't.
Yep, he has to fucking walk. That's what I mean. I'm like, damn, Lynn, that sucks. I'm sorry, dude. You gotta fucking walk everywhere and.
Well, because he can't turn it off. It's just always on.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just always on. Poor boy.
For me, I think my favorite spark is probably, at least at this point in the game, for what's been revealed, probably Alia's.
It's scary.
It's scary. It's dangerous,
horrifying.
but it also, in terms of like what it can do,
There's a ton of utility
you
to
can
it.
do a lot with it. I
do
think
so
Estel
much
noted
with it.
at one point is like you can rival a chosen one, because if you can merge with anything, it doesn't matter if you're not a chosen one. You just merge with so much other shit. You can merge with a chosen one, you know, and it's like there's so much like
Literally.
power in it. It does have the issue of it's the person with the strongest like will. So that was why Estel asked Avayath when he was like, I'm gonna go face her, and she's like, do you think you have a strong will? Do you want to put it to the test? Because if she merges you with something or you merge with her, it's wills. It's whoever has the strongest will. So
Yeah, it comes out on top.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's it's scary.
It's scary, but it's got a lot. It's me for the DM. It's got a lot of potential to do.
Yeah,
a lot.
you're gonna fuck us over with that
It makes
eventually. I'm
every
sure.
scene with Alia fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it's like, oh, just go away, please.
Like, y'all listen to it, but I'm like terrified in the moment.
Yeah.
Literally.
We will
Yikes.
we'll move on to the next one. If your character could have one more spark, what would it be? And that's from Hydro Saloon.
That's a tough one.
I don't know. Okay, so here's the thing. Shui Spark, he doesn't like it as much. Okay, I wouldn't say. Okay, he doesn't think it's cool. Like he went to the compound and met all these other people with like super cool spark abilities, but then his was just that, right? So I think for Shui's sake, I actually do kind of like his spark. But like for Shui's sake, if he could have one more spark ability, I think it would be something cool. Like I think it would be something combat related.
The ability to draw his sword.
The ability to open any sword.
I can use any weapon.
Yes, sure. I'm not sure what it would be, but definitely something I'd say flashy, something really cool, something that he could brag about, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my answer.
For me, Brandy's other spark would be when he enters a rage, his claws grow sharper and bigger, and he like gains monstrous features. So like his claws grow, and his horns grow back, and he can use them as like weapons. Like his claws could deal damage, or his horns could deal damage if he rams into people. That would be mine. If he like whenever he entered a rage, he became like a bit more monstery and could use his body as a weapon.
Sheena.
It's hard to say because Theo's made to be so normal. But my first thought is something that would be some sort of healing ability, and my second thought was a magical shield that had the appearance of a galaxy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That was his ability in another game that we ran.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. For Avayath, it's really hard with Avayath because I feel like Paladin already suits him perfectly. There's no real totally new abilities I would give him that I
To
can
talk
think
to
of.
God.
Well, that would be nice. That's not what I want. I don't want to ruin the story like
I
that.
have a direct Line to Claytor at all
I'm
times.
cheating.
I'm cheating.
So wouldn't that make a warlock?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm a warlock now. No. Yeah, because I'm a goddamn weeaboo, I really like anime-ass powers that appear in desperate situations. So for me, I feel like if Avayath's HP was low enough, or if he like ran out of all of the spell slots, or some condition, where the fight gets really desperate, then I would want him to do some super crazy divine smite. Just a stronger divine smite. That's what I would pick.
A stronger divine smite.
Yeah.
And this one is not for me because I make everything. So we will move on to the next one, which is
But
actually
the next
for
one
me.
is...
And it was for Cassie. How heavily did results of the Sparks tests and trials that the mentors gave them affect which mentors wanted to train each person, or did the mentors already have a clear picture for whom they wanted to train? And that is from Mr. Bakudan. So it was a little bit in the air for who would take who. I did not decide until later that Arthur would take as much of an interest in Theo as he did. And I think it's just playing scenes is different. Like, you can have ideas in your head, but like actually doing things and interacting as characters and playing them changes what you expect of things. And I think that scene in particular, playing Arthur, and like you kind of become your character a little bit when you play them. There's a little character bleed there, and like feeling like how interested he was in Theo, I'm like, oh, he definitely would pull some shenanigans in order to train him if he's this interested. And so that kind of came later. Otherwise, there was a pretty strong chance Theo might have gotten Win, which would have been interesting.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I did not expect that.
I think the only ones that were pretty set in stone for me was Shui was probably going to get Libris. It was hard for me to justify because of just who Libris is as a character, her not wanting Shui. And I also don't think any other mentor would have pushed as hard to take Shui. So she ended up taking him. Brandy, I feel like he could have had Estel or Peter. And I also feel like Avayath could have had Peter or Win. And Theo also could have had Estel or Win if Arthur wasn't an option. He became one later, kind of.
He forced himself to become an option.
So there was definitely things that played out that changed certain aspects of it. I would say Theo's was the biggest in terms of like playing Arthur and having that scene play out and realizing that he would want to train Theo, definitely, for sure. Estel specifically actually only stepped in to train Theo because Theo did poorly during his final with her, where he gave a speech, and I translated that into his not necessarily his speech being bad, but just having issues with projection was how I translated the role. And Estel is very big on presentation and presenting yourself to be a chosen one, and knowing that Theo had a lot of potential for her, it would be important that he knows how to present and put on a good face, basically, to be a chosen one. And she wouldn't think Arthur would be able to teach him that. And also, Arthur is not a mentor. He's the leader. He's not supposed to train people. So she was a little like, you're stepping outside of what you are supposed to do. She's also very like, we go by the book. We go by the rules. We don't go outside of that, is kind of Estel. Which is funny, because when other people break the rules, then she does by... she's like, if you're breaking the rules, I'm breaking the rules to fix the rules, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was an impact, definitely, based on that. I think it was I had to debate quite heavily if it was going to be Estel or Peter to take Brandy for obvious reasons, because Peter would have wanted Brandy. And it just ended up where it made the most sense for Peter to take Avayath, given his everything. From there, we're going to go on to, if this was a modern setting, what sort of pop culture entertainment would your characters like the most? Games, comics, TV shows, all that. That's from Anon.
So, this is something I thought about before, because I don't know, I always kind of liked imagining Shui in like modern clothes, kind of like how he would like dress and look and stuff. And so like kind of doing that little thought experiment, if you will, I like he would super be into like Spider-Man, definitely. I think he would enjoy riding bikes, like just kind of like skateboarding, riding bikes, stuff like that. Super, like I said, super into Spider-Man. Probably has like a little backpack or something. And he would definitely wear like I think he'd be into like really cool shoes, like sneakers and stuff. His shoes in campaign are really simple. They're just like little sandals, right? But I think if he saw shoes like and how how they could look and how cool they could look with like all of the different colors and like designs and stuff, he'd really be into like sneakers too.
Yeah, we are approaching the 2-hour mark. I just want to note, are you guys doing okay cast-wise? That's the important part to continue.
I'm good.
Okay, so I would just say moving forward.
Dying, but...
I would say just to try and speed up questions a bit.
Yeah. Brandy would read Berserk. That's the only thing I can think. He'd be into Berserk, probably.
I can't think of anything that Theo would really enjoy because Theo wasn't made for that setting. So he's a farm boy. He wouldn't be that into games or TV. He'd spend most of his time outside anyway. So can't think of anything.
Yeah, the funny thing about Avayath is he's been in a modern setting 3 times. The original campaign he was in, and then my own campaign, Neoforce, and then a one-shot in an amusement park. And every time, he's still in a full suit of armor, acting like he's from the medieval ages. He does not change. Even in a modern setting, he's the exact same guy, obsessed with religion and working out. But that's a boring answer. So I decided he'd be really into Superman. He'd probably own a few Superman comics. Yeah, but he doesn't delve into pop culture a ton.
Yeah. And then, so for the players, moving on to the next question, which of the NPCs would you want to see go full out, hold nothing back, fight to win or kill? And that's for Mr. Bakudan.
Against me, none.
I want to see Libris go all out. Like, I just feel like she's like, I don't know. There's something about her. Like, she could just like erase.
She's very mysterious. You don't know exactly what she can and can't do. And I think that's part of her draw.
Yeah, and she doesn't seem like the type to go all out under normal circumstances because she seems like a very happy, sort of nice person.
Arguably not as concerned as she should be about things.
I want to see Peter go out. I want to see Peter go all out.
Yeah.
Fucking paladin warlocks, dude. They fuck. They're so strong. I want to see him just lose it, especially since he's got the Abagrim inside of him. I want him to see him just go fucking ballistic. Not against me, though. I don't want anyone to go against me.
I want to see Wynn go all out because I just want to know what his limits are. I just want to see like how strong he really is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I want to see him go all out.
Yeah, he fought Avayath, but he didn't even bring out a weapon until near the end of their fight.
Yeah, I really want to see him go ham.
Yeah, I just watched like 100 magicians try to blast him, and they're all like, "No, it's not doing anything."
You're right. I didn't think about
him
that.
Just tearing through a fucking like school of mages, just being like, "Here we go." I cast these hands.
Yeah. I also had the answer of Peter just because his spark is like, he's basically invincible, isn't he?
Yeah, so, like, his spark is fucking, he's invincible too, so he could just...
His skin is impervious to magical and non-magical damage.
Yeah, so like, same scenario, you could have 100 mages blasting at him, you could throw buildings at him, he's still going to keep getting back up.
Just imagine, like, Peter... in that like Abagrim form that we saw in the fucking the Abagrim reveal, him just walking towards like a fucking army of people, them all trying to stop him and just nothing happening is just like ugh.
Yeah.
Well, you know that the Abagrim is strong because that was, they said, like the reason he's merged with him is because merging the Abagrim with someone might kill them, and Peter is impervious to that.
Impervious.
So
yeah, that's what I mean. Is like if he just went, ugh, I just want that so bad.
We all really listed like mentors, but like as far as like normal like NPCs, I'd say I'd like to see normal NPCs.
we do got to keep going though.
I know. I would say Essence, definitely.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
The thing is, the mentors are hyped up to be like super strong, and we've
They
never
are.
seen them
Yeah.
go all out.
Exactly.
So moving on to the next question is for me. How much of the world did you have planned out before the first session? How much time did you spend planning between sessions? That's from Katie, or KT. I spent quite a bit. I spent quite a bit. So before the campaign started, I think I probably had maybe 30 or 40 pages prepped between session planning, gods, world building, maps, locations, all that kind of stuff. It's the most planning I've ever done for a campaign was for Chosen Ones because I wanted to be able to play any session and be able to do it and have answers, basically. Because for a podcast, it's much easier to catch me if I mess up. So I wanted to have as much pre-planned as I possibly could. In terms of the actual session planning that I do, I have probably 200 or 300 pages of notes at this point.
Jesus.
Because I plan maybe anywhere between 5 to 10 pages per session, depending on what we do. And a lot of that is not as well thought out as you might think. Sometimes it's just things that NPCs might talk about. It's things going on in the world if you ask about them. It's things for me to keep track of. Sometimes character description things that I need to remember. It's a lot. It's basically anything I think I might need for that session, including music too. So I also have links to music that takes up quite a bit of page time, you know. So it's basically it's everything that I would need for a session in my notes. So it's not that it sounds like a lot, but if you like actually look through my notes and read through them, it's easy to see how I get that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do quite a bit. I would say for every hour we play, I probably plan for 2 to 3 hours.
That's fair.
Because again, there's just a lot that goes into this kind of game, and it can be for low key sessions, not that much, obviously. But for anything big, battles, fights, lore, heavy stuff, I plan quite a bit. Moving on though, because I got stuck on that one.
You sure did.
For DM. For the DM, which I also think other people can answer this too, because Ripley and Jay also DM. Any advice to someone who wants to DM but doesn't know a good start? Just do it. It doesn't fucking matter. You can look up shit online if you can't think of anything. There's free adventures that are online that people have voluntarily put up. There's pretty cheap ones too. If you look on like DM's Guild, and is that what it's called, DM's Guild?
Yeah.
There's pretty cheap ones too. Some are like you can buy for very low or like pay what you want kind of stuff. And it's okay to use things. I've used them in my first campaign just to help you have a branching off point and then to like get your own story from there. Which I honestly do kind of recommend if you're DMing something for the very first time. I think it is good to kind of take a story someone else has planned, even if it's just like a one-page adventure or something, and build off of it before going into your own full campaign, because I think it's just helpful. It takes some stress off of you. It's already stressful DMing. But yeah.
Yeah, I would say best thing to do is either one, have at least an outline of what is in your world. It doesn't have to be super detailed. You don't have to have all the places lined up. But if you have like a map with little blips on it of like, you can go to these places. You don't have to plan for those places. You don't have to plan for any of those places until people actually go there, so you don't have to worry about it. Just have it, just the idea of like looking at what the world is and players asking questions. That's the other thing I would say is like let your players inform the world around you through like their backstories and stuff like that you have. So like if a player asks like, where is the best place to go if I want to go hunt undead or something like that, you can just put something into the world for them and that'll make them interested immediately. Or like, where can I go to learn magic and stuff like that? Like you can choose a random city and put a magic school there or stuff like that. Like leave it open for players to like input themselves into the world, it makes it a lot more engaging as a player.
Yeah, and my experience, the thing is, because I started DMing so much later than Ripley and Cassie, that for me, when I tried to first start my first campaign, I got too ambitious. I tried to sort of imitate their style instead of finding my own style. And so I tried to flesh out this entire world and, like, you know, too many characters, too much of an intricate plot for me. And that didn't work out. And then when it was approaching Halloween, I was like, there's not a whole lot of campaigns going on. Maybe a Halloween one-shot would be fun. Yeah, and so I tried looking up a one-shot for, like, a Halloween one-shot module. And I was like, oh, this is super short. Like, this could be super easy to run. I just take a few notes, and I just, you know, do it. And that worked for me. And then I was like, well, I actually finally got myself to DM. Maybe I'll do that again. I found another one-shot, just DM'd that. So for me, what has worked is just starting off small scale. Just
Yeah.
It's going to be different for everyone.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be this big story. I feel like if people want to play D&D, they'll just have fun being their characters. You don't have to be this amazing DM.
Exactly.
You don't have to.
Yes, please. The biggest tip I can give: do not compare yourself to any other DMs.
You have to consider their background and what they've done.
Like, yeah, it is the hardest thing to do, but like you have to avoid it, because if you compare yourself to others, you're just not going to be happy with it.
I've been writing long form, big, elaborate stories since I was like 10 years old. So this kind of writing style to me is just kind of like secondhand. It's really actually hard for me to write low-key, toned-down stories. That's actually something that's very difficult for me to do. So you can have something that's like a local, just in a town, simple mystery thing, and have it feel very strong and impactful and be a lot of fun still. It doesn't have to be a huge, expansive world. That's just how I write. It's different according to everyone. And some people might think that means that, like, I'm a stronger writer in that sense, but it can be really hard to write things that are more toned back and have them still have impact. So
yeah, don't fall into the Matt Mercer effect.
Yeah,
that's the best advice.
We're gonna move on to what's the oddest thing that has happened in a session that's been released.
That's been released.
I want to say the whole.
I think all of our answers are the same.
Yeah.
No,
I think
okay,
so.
maybe. Okay, yes, but also, I just want to break the mold a little bit because I also was gonna say that. But, Shui catching Peter and Estelle
Making out
was the weirdest fucking shit. I was like, oh no.
It was so
Can I
fucking
go back to
funny.
sleep?
Yeah, they're making out. Like,
I was
valid.
like, oh my god.
It's the last thing you would expect.
Literally the last thing you would expect.
Yeah, as for the other thing, I love the other guys.
It's very funny to listen to their previous conversations before that, because it's just it's just lovers like squabbles basically. They're like shit talking each other behind each other's backs and shit. And with the context that they're dating, it's just like you little.
It's extremely funny. I think I speak for everyone is when Jay was eating grapes during the session, and we just could not get his attention, and he thought for some reason we went silent for 5 minutes, and every time we tried to tell him, it sounded like he was stopping to listen to us and then continued to eat grapes, and it was like, why?
It was so funny. It was so funny.
Yeah.
It sounded so deliberate.
Literally, it sounded like he was fucking with us.
Because on my end, like, I was like, oh, you guys stop talking. And then I'd, like, chewed on the grape to be like, hold on, maybe I should stop to hear, are they talking? What's going on?
It was so funny.
Yeah. Moving on from that one, Anon asked, how do you feel about the success Chosen Ones has gotten so far? This is a hard question for me, because it's very hard to not compare yourself. It's incredibly hard to not compare yourself. In terms of, we are kind of a big fish in a small pond, I feel like might be a good way to put it. In the grand scheme of things, with a lot of podcasts, especially ones that started out when we did, we're doing pretty good. But if you look at us in terms of all D&D podcasts, we're not. So
Which you shouldn't.
that's the hard part. It's trying to align yourself with your own like expectations. And I don't want to be Critical Role, and I don't want to be Adventure
please
Zone. I don't ever want to reach
Please
that
not.
level of fame because that takes the enjoyment out of it. But I do want to be successful enough where I feel like it is a self-sustaining project, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we are there. It also does get hard because our views fluctuate so much. We have consistent viewers who watch, and people drop off and on, and so we're pretty consistently like at a certain amount of people who watch weekly, and it can be hard to feel like you're losing momentum sometimes when the views go down instead of up, and because the people always talk about growth and how you're supposed to get bigger and better, and our views fluctuate a lot in terms of sometimes we've got 170 people who are caught up, and sometimes we've got 120, and it's you can't predict it, and it's not easy to tell. It's very easy to get caught in a numbers game, but I do think we are doing a lot better than probably what I expected when we started out, for sure.
Yeah, I think we're doing great. Simple
It's
as that.
amazing. It's pretty amazing
Definitely, yeah.
that more people than just us listen.
Literally,
Yeah,
I'm surprised we even get like 20 viewers. We get like fucking at
It's
least
surprising to
a
me,
few
yeah,
hundred,
that
if not like 1,000, like every yeah. It's like ooh.
Definitely. I just feel
Wow.
like super grateful to you guys, or like to anyone who's like really listening, and like
Yeah.
almost a little bewildered. Like, this
Like why the fuck you watching our game?
Yeah, yeah. Like, fucking mind your own business. What the fuck? No,
Get the fuck out of here! If you want to see fluctuating numbers after this fucking live stream, everybody's like, fine, fuck
It's
you
Zen
guys.
being like, stop listening to my private conversations that we recorded and put out
It is
publicly.
weird though. It is weird, like to think about of like, dang, this is a D&D game, because it feels like, at least for me, it feels like any other game that we would play. Like
Yeah.
this is just how we play constantly. So it is weird to think like, damn, there are like 100 or so people who are consistently listening to this game we play constantly. It's just interesting.
I think it's really great also because it's like I always want others to see just how much fun that
We
Cassie's
have.
games are because they're
Yeah.
so fucking good. And also because I like to make animations based on what I'm
Yes.
playing at the time.
Your
And
animatic
I'm
throw is so fucking good.
Thank you. And I just when it's playing out, I'm like, oh my god, I wish people understood just how fucking much fun I'm having
Right.
and how good it is. Like, and I'm
Yeah,
just
like,
glad that
fuck.
for a podcast that there is at least some people that know what's going on.
Literally.
Yeah, I do enjoy that a lot. I like it's very hard because I'm a little bit cagey and secretive about my stuff. A little bit.
Yes, you are.
And
A
so
little bit.
this is the only way I really can get my stuff out is because I have a lot of anxiety issues.
Yes,
So it's very hard for me to share without it being a finished product. Like, it has to be something that feels finalized and polished and ready for the world to see. It's very hard for me to just talk about stuff and my ideas and things that I want to do. Because in my brain, I'm always like, well, what if I use that one day? Or what if I do something with that? Like, I can't show anyone because what if they steal it? It's like, I just, as a person, have my own struggles with sharing content, but also desperately wanting people to consume what I make. So it's difficult. It's why I spend so long and work so hard on this, is because I want it to always feel like a finished and final product, everything that we put out.
Yep. We gotta keep going.
Yeah. And the other thing was, what is your metric for success as a D&D podcast? I feel like we kind of answered that in the same thing.
Yeah, it's just self-sustainable. If we could
that's
like,
it.
like that's not the goal of like this podcast of like we want to make money off it, but like if we do, like, fuck yeah, dude, like that. If we could do this and sustain ourselves off of it, fuck, that'd be so great.
I'm not even talking about, I'm fine still having a job and working and stuff. I'm not even talking about
same.
that. It's I just want to not spend money. I want to not spend money on my hobbies. And I know that's, you're allowed to spend money on your hobbies, but I went to art school, which taught you to monetize your hobbies and make money off of
Yep.
it. And it's very
You
hard for
sure
me to
did.
break out of that and be like, Cassie, it's okay to spend money on your hobbies, but I'm like, no, it's not. I need to make money. So
Yeah.
for me, it'd be breaking even. My metric of success would be completely breaking even, whether it be through YouTube ad revenue, Patreon, donations, merch, whatever.
Which we all have, and you can go down in the description and find them below. And you
We
should
do.
donate
We
to
have
our
Patreon and
you can be
Ko-fi.
credited and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually have some of our patrons
But you don't
listed
have to if
in
you
the
don't want to.
description.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jessica Long, Mr. Bakudan, Vessel, and who else? Who else is Venesa? All the ones in our, we have a bunch. The ones in the description, we also have some that aren't in there, because you get certain perks depending on what you are. But yeah, you should go check us out. Even $1 a month helps. Literally, if every single person who watched every week, we've got like 100 listeners or whatever like that, every single person donated $1, that'd be $100, and that would cover the advertising costs every month that I spend. So, you know, you don't have to though. I also don't want to guilt anyone into it. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
if you
obviously.
consume like media
If you have the,
and you have
you know.
the time and or the money to be able to donate like $1 a month or whatever. I know we have a lot of minor fans too, so I understand that everyone can't. But like, then you get access to bloopers. And sorry.
Yeah, you get access to a lot of dumb shit that we say.
Bloopers.
We say
Making
a
Avayath.
lot of dumb shit.
You get access to bloopers. You get access to early
You get
viewings of
access
the
to a
thumbnails.
one-shot.
Yeah, so
We did a one-shot exclusively for patrons.
it's
that'll
not out
come
yet though, so we
later.
shouldn't advertise that.
But for soon enough, it will one day. Just saying.
Don't say soon. Don't put pressure on me.
Tomorrow it's coming out.
No.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so outside of that, we're moving on to, besides your current character, were there any other PCs that were considered? And if so, could you tell us a little about them? Knowing who they were, who we, the viewers, could have ended up with instead is interesting. And
Yes.
I don't know if this was a non or not because I don't have it listed, so it might not have been a non, but yeah.
The answer is yes. All of us had different characters.
We'll go through
You
them
wanna go
here.
first,
Pretty
Zen?
cast. Yes, you're all
I think
pretty.
Zen was actually the only one who didn't.
Zen had people who we considered.
Yeah.
Other than Shui?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna let you
Weird,
guys
Zen.
know when you're on the screen because it's gonna be delayed for you on the live stream.
Okay.
We are on Ramsey, Zen.
Oh.
Oh.
So yeah. So
Oh yeah,
I-
I forgot.
yeah, I had a couple characters I like considered. Ramses was my second ever D&D character that I played in Ripley's D&D game called Blue Moon Harvest.
Yeah, Blue Moon.
Emotional.
He's an Azamar cleric. He is a little bit weird because you know how clerics get their powers from like gods and stuff, right? He essentially saw himself as a god, and other people saw him as a god as well. So he was empowered by their beliefs, essentially. Obviously, he did have a god he actually got his powers from, but that was him. He's very stoic. He's very
Bitchy. A little
Serious.
egotistical.
bit. Egotistical for
God.
sure. God, imagining
I-
him instead of Shui is wild.
Yeah, I think that he was one of the people I was considering, but I very quickly changed my mind just because of like his personality.
That's fair.
I didn't think that, and like his backstory, at least as far as was established in Blue Moon Harvest, it would have been. I grew so attached to it that it would have been hard to let go of it, I guess.
That's fair.
Because Chosen Ones takes place all on one continent.
One continent, yeah.
And Ramses has some stuff. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
that was
we'll
one
move
of
on
my,
to your next
options.
one. We're on to Fallen.
Fallen was who essentially Shui replaced.
He was from the first RP we did.
He was from the first ever RP that was
That Jay ran.
Slayers. Yeah,
Yeah.
that Jay ran that allowed me to meet everyone. It was
Mhm.
kind of when I first started out, like with art, I guess.
Back when we used to call you Satan.
Yes.
That was fun
whole
conversations
nother
with my
story.
mom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hanging out with my friend Satan.
Fallen is an archer, obviously. He used these little gemstones that had special abilities. He attached them to the tip of like his arrows, and he shot them, and they could like do like super cool effects and stuff. He also had a connection to a special gemstone that let him control a certain type, almost like telepathy. He could control a certain type of gems. But yeah, that's Fallen, which is funny because if he was like literally, if I applied with him,
His name.
know how,
You
like,
guys didn't know about Fallen Ones, so it would have been.
We
funny.
didn't know about Fallen Ones, so his name is Fallen, and he wanted to be a
Fallen,
chosen one.
the chosen one.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We will move on to, because it's next in my order. We'll move on to Shayna actually.
Hello, it was Rhea.
Yes.
So Rhea is actually a character I've had since I was like 13 or 14. She was like the main character of a story that I was animating, and she had like, in her story, I'm gonna say the words Chosen One, but it's like not the same as what Chosen Ones is in this world. In her story, she had these special eyes that indicated that she was a Chosen One. They weren't special in themselves, but I scrapped that story and then I picked it back up a few years ago, and I decided to make her eyes what made her special, which I then added some like eye scars to her as well to like be like, oh, well, what could have happened there? But yeah, she also had something similar in aesthetic to Fallen, where she basically has heat vision that heats things into like pink crystals, basically. Like the pink crystals will grow. But anyway, so that's her. When I first made her, her personality was kind of like, oh, I'm the main character, I don't know what's going on, that kind of thing. It was almost kind of like Shui. It's basically like Shui. After I had her for a while and I was revamping her, I decided to give her a bit of an ego because she was special, which is also kind of like Avayath if you think about it. So that's Rhea. I love her very much, and one day I would love to play her.
We will move on to Jay then.
So my character, his title is Valdis the Chosen One. I consider it because of that title. So Valdis the Chosen One was the main villain of my first roleplay, Shadow Slayers. He's similar to Avayath in some ways, being this grandiose knight who is believed to be the Chosen One since the day he was born. But he's very different in other ways. While Avayath at first sight is like, he seems like he has a big ego, but he's actually trying just to live up to expectations. Valdis is kind of the opposite. When you first meet him, he seems like a really nice guy. He seems like a chill dude. Very likable when you first meet him. But he's actually fucking crazy. Valdis is kind of off the walls with his beliefs.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Let me save the world by plunging it into darkness.
Basically, he started the apocalypse sacrificing millions and millions of souls in order to turn himself into a god.
The music got so dramatic.
It really did.
That's because he is dramatic. Yeah, it's fucking Valdis, dude. He was the final boss. Like, yeah.
Waltzing among the ghosts.
It would have been so interesting to see how you changed him and developed him for this, considering he was like evil in your original thing.
I love Avayath. I wouldn't want him to be not in it, but if you had gone with this, I think that would make it so interesting of like this dude who's willing to do anything to become the chosen one is like, I don't know, that concept would have been really fun to explore.
I don't know if he would have become a better person or if he just would have betrayed the party and went ape shit.
That's what I mean. I'm like, I want to know how he would have developed.
Like, I would have whipped his ass.
Would have been really interesting.
Imagining him with Ramses.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, but like, can you imagine their egos?
Oh my god, that would be so bad.
And then we already showed the prototype of Avayath, his design. It's the next on my tab, so I'm flashing it for a second before I move on. So people aren't like, you missed one. But Nico.
He was my first boy. I actually redesigned him specifically for this game, to where he was going to be an Asmer. He was basically going to be Avayath, essentially. He's in his first story he was a core, but in this he was a Asmer who was taken when he was very little by a cult and raised to believe that that the sun and the moon were gods. In his original story, the sun and the moon were gods, and he just believed in that so hard that he gave himself paladin powers. And his cult used him to go into old ruins and slay undead to get artifacts that were very, very dangerous. And they weren't always undead, but his cult always told him, "Nah, they're all undead. Don't worry about it." So he would just listen to them until they all died one day, because a hero actually came in and fucking got rid of them. So, and then except for Nico, who wasn't there at the time. He
And
is
then I showed his. I'm on his original ref now.
Yeah, that was his original. He's a very, very sweet person, very charismatic, very I wouldn't say he's as showy as Avayath, but he's very like kind-hearted and very excitable, easily excitable. Wants to believe in the good of everybody. In the first game, he wouldn't kill creatures at first, at the very least, because he didn't believe in murder. He was like a pacifist, but he was like, I'll make them unconscious, but not kill them. Shit like that. He very sweet, but he also did have a bit of a sassier side and a bit of a meaner like side when people bullied him, and he slowly became more chaotic as the game went on. He was incredibly fun, and I would love to revisit him because I've reworked so much of him that I'd love to revisit him one day. Not for this game, because he was way too similar to Avayath, and also like, once Brandy and Theo were floated, it was like that was it. But I'd like to use him one day. Probably not in the campaign now that I've spoiled his whole backstory,
Yeah.
but one day.
So moving on from that, we are going to we're going to try and go a little faster again, because we got a little stuck on that one. But how has your character grown from the beginning of their journey to where they are now, and what changed them? At this point in the story, if you feel like your character has not changed a ton, you can just skip this one, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shui has not changed a whole ton. At the moment, he is.
And this is from Keep Your Dice About You, by the way.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's becoming. I'd say at this point in the story, he's becoming a little bit more. He's asking more questions. Just not the right ones, and not just not the right ones.
Mm-hmm.
But he will very shortly get some more development, so stay tuned for that.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Other than that, I'm just gonna skip that part.
Yep.
Yeah. Brandy, I feel, is pretty obvious that he has gone from very closed off, very like quiet to himself, kind of, through interacting with Theo and is caring about Theo, and through his interactions with Avayath and Shui, who have befriended him now. He's come out of his shell a little bit. Wow, this really popped off, this song.
Yep.
He's come out of his shell a bit now. He's a little more outgoing. He's a little more willing to like joke and like be like let himself be happy. He's not fully there yet, and he's not anywhere near being ready to tell people about himself, but he has, he's opened up a bit more.
As for Theo hasn't changed a lot. He's just made friends who see past his initial I have anxiety wall. So like he's his like kind of shy, anxious, but really kind in general to people. But once you get to know him, you see that he has some very strong opinions and can be really sassy and thinks deeply about certain things. But you don't know that until you get to know him, and really it hasn't changed him. The only thing might be him interacting with Brandy might have changed him.
For the worse?
Just slightly. Not even for the worse, just like the things that Brandy has gone through, Theo cares very much about, and he wants to do his best for Brandy. So, yeah, he hasn't changed that much.
Mm-hmm.
And Avayath, it was after his second sparring match with Brandy. Brandy chose not to use necromancy at the end of the fight. And Avayath said to Brandy, I'm pretty sure he said this. He said, "You may not have won the battle, but you've won my respect."
I don't think he said that, but
I was
In his
like,
mind, he said that.
yeah.
I feel like they had a conversation similar to that, like degree.
I think they
I feel
had
like I
at
remember
the
that.
lunch table, yeah.
I
but
don't
maybe he
remember.
thought if he didn't say it, yeah.
But regardless,
Yeah.
the sentiment is still there.
Yeah.
Don't ruin this.
I was just like, I don't think he said that though. Like,
I'm not sure if he did is the thing. That's why I said I'm
It's
not sure if he
feeling.
did, but yeah.
It's his
The
feelings.
feeling's there.
yeah.
Yeah, but like, yeah, so he's like less judgmental now, but Avayath still has a long way to go in terms of character development.
Very long way to go in terms of character arc.
Very long.
It's
Very,
getting
very
there.
long.
Very, very long.
He's a shithead now. We wanted completely different. Everything's scrapped.
Yeah.
So following up to that, we got the question from two different people, both Anon, who asked, will there be a sequel / other project? Is there another project in the works after Chosen Ones? Yes. We
Yep.
can't talk about it
Yep.
because it's so far out in the future that it could change, and I don't want to make any
Yeah.
promises for things that aren't currently happening. But basically, yes, our current plans are to finish Chosen Ones, finish recording Chosen Ones, continue to upload it, and then in between that, have a side campaign that isn't recorded, because it's good to also just play D&D for yourselves. That's including
Yeah.
anyone who is considering a podcast. It's good to also just sometimes play without an audience.
Yeah.
Definitely good. And then after that, when Chosen Ones is
Second
finished
podcast.
uploading, when our little side campaign is done, our little private campaign, we will consider doing a second podcast. And
Second podcast.
I will say it will still be in the same universe as Chosen Ones. I won't say what point in time or history, what the setting is, any of that.
But it's very good.
If we go with that one, we just don't know, because that could be 2 years down the
We
line.
will. We're gonna go with that one. I feel like
Whatever it
from
is.
what you portrayed, like I feel like all of us are like, fuck yeah, with that one.
And then I think the follow-up to that, also from Anon, is do you have any hopes for the future? With that, obviously, yes. I would love to do a second campaign. I think my biggest thing right now is if we are ever known for a podcast, I do really want it to be Chosen Ones. I cannot
Yeah.
think of a show that I can do after Chosen Ones that is going to have the same feeling or impact that it has. I think other campaigns that we do will still be good. I don't think they'll be bad. Every campaign I do always tops the last one, so I'm saying this now in the moment, of course.
Yeah.
But I just feel like we have the perfect cast chemistry and a very interesting plot that you've barely even scratched the surface of.
Yes. Some of the best stuff is coming up soon.
Yes, it's so exciting.
Some of the best stuff is
Oh, I
coming up
can't wait
soon.
for you
I'm
guys to
so
hear.
excited.
Yes, yeah.
It's so good.
This
Just wait.
is
Like,
where we currently
ugh.
are. I don't know if it's necessarily going. I think season 3 might end up being our favorite season, maybe.
oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
Absolutely.
season 3, it just has so much in it. But
And that
like,
depends
this
on
one
where
too
you
is
like-
like
This
fucking
one, yeah,
amazing.
this one has a lot
Ugh.
in it. But
It's
the
so good.
what we currently have planned for a season finale for season 2 is probably, I would say, almost universally everyone's favorite moment.
It's the best,
Best
moment in the
moment.
game so far,
Best
for
moment.
sure.
You
The
guys
so
fucking
good.
season
love it?
finale for season 2, y'all, even if you don't watch the show, you don't want to miss it. It's fucking amazing.
Fucking
It's so
good.
good.
But I will
It's
say
so
the
good.
reason why Chosen Ones works and why things are so good is because of
Yeah,
all the
you
build
should
up.
watch it, obviously. But like,
Because
fuck,
I've seen
it's just
people
that
could
moment
say
is
that
just,
they
ugh.
want to like skip ahead and like do the season recap and skip the first. You will miss so much, and
Yes,
it's
you
we
will
are
miss a
s-
ton. But,
we are
you
such
know.
an RP heavy show that like it is important, and I do so much
Yes.
foreshadowing. If you listen back to the first season from where we currently are, you will see things that I have lined up that aren't
Yeah.
revealed until 30
I was-
episodes in.
I wasn't saying people shouldn't watch the podcast.
No,
They
I know.
really
I'm
truly
just
should.
saying-
But I'm just saying,
I'm just
like,
saying like that. I wanted
it's
to
gonna be
emphasize
good even
that.
without the context.
I wanted
Like,
to
it's fucking
emphasize
amazing.
that Chosen
Yeah,
Ones
yeah,
is a
yeah,
show that works and is good because we are a slow burn.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
If you could
So,
call it a slow
keep
burn,
up.
you know, it's slow.
It is pretty slow.
Yeah.
Slow. The entire season 1, we didn't do fucking jack shit.
It was
We
still
stayed at
very
the top
interesting,
for the
though.
entirety of season 1.
It was-
It
yeah.
was super interesting. It's just, you know, in D&D, most people expect, like, we're going on adventures, and, like, we didn't do any of that. This is the first adventure they're going on together. So.
I am going to speed through
and
the
fuck, it
questions.
pops
I'm going to
off.
kind of pick and choose. I know the cast can see, but if I skip one, just unless you're like, no, I wanted that one, like, obviously bring it up. These are quick answers, ones that I know aren't going to take a super long time. So someone asked, are the sparks that people have, like, from the very last, so spoilers for the last episode that was released, someone asked basically if the sparks are like a creature or like a parasite that people have. Where you currently are in the game, that cannot be answered. I cannot say yes or no. I cannot say if you're onto something or if you're completely off. I just can't. That was from TH7Fool. And they also asked the next one, which was, can Theo like pass his spark? Can he take sparks from people? And again, you just don't know. It's just happened, so it can't really be covered.
We can't answer.
I can say that
like
Theo's spark has changed. I explained how in the podcast. I won't say if it's changed more besides that or not, but I can say his spark has changed. From that, someone also asked, and Anon asked, will you guys ever cover Arthur's Lab more? Yes, moving on.
You'll see. You'll see.
What would have happened if Shui got a nat 20 when trying to open the Beast Blade originally? That was from settings. The thing is, even when he failed, I guess, he still rolled pretty high and he still opened it. So a nat 20, I don't know necessarily would have changed much. It would have had to be an in-the-moment decision. It's hard to go back and think about things like that, especially this far in. And then from there, we also have an Anon question from, what programs do we use for the battle maps that we show, such as with the snake fight and the jabber fight and stuff like that? We use Roll20. And we are actually Roll20 spotlighted, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Roll20 spotlight. So basically
Sometimes they retweet us.
Yeah, it's cool. Regular questions. This is a pretty fast one. Someone asked, what, if anything, is Avayath wearing under the armor? I'm going to switch to it on the screen really fast. He's wearing an I Love Claytor t-shirt and just shorts and shoes. Pretty.
Yeah.
Just looks like a dude. Very
What's the skin
pale
color?
dude, but you know.
Pale man, but
Pale man.
you know.
I don't know if you
Never
typically wear
seen
padding
that.
under armor, but whatever. That's what's underneath the padding if there's padding under
Yeah.
Mhm.
plate mail.
He always has to wear his I Love Claytor shirt.
Always,
Next one
yeah.
from Anon. Does Hestia have a higher intelligence score than Avayath?
No.
But not by much.
Avayath is an 8, as has a 6.
They are really close.
They have the same wisdom score, so
Oh
Hestia
my
has just as
God.
much common sense.
Hestia is
Yeah.
probably stronger though. I mean, I don't know. Did you see her clothes?
Hestia's a fucking horse. She could kick Avayath's head off his fucking shoulder. Yes.
Speaking of that, who would likely be the first PC to die? Also from Anon.
We discussed this last night. I think it'd either be Shui or Avayath.
I think
They
Avayath.
don't. Because Zen, you don't play Shui like a bard. You play him like a fighter, and he gets his ass beat.
I would like to point out, Zen, how when you were
Huh?
fighting in the jabber fight, the second jabber fight with the goop, I think you maybe once or twice rolled an attack, and other than that, we're like, I investigate, I perceive, I try to examine it. And
You wanted to get gooed so bad.
yeah, so it's like I feel like the way that you play Shui, especially because of his nature where he doesn't, if especially something seems like it might have intelligence, he doesn't want to attack, typically.
Yeah.
I think he would definitely be one of the
Yeah.
top two.
I think it's Shui or Avayath, just because Avayath is always on the front lines. Just taking, like, Theo and Brandy have options for long range. Avayath and Shui really don't.
They
have
really don't.
options, and like if you guys get like swarmed or something, like that's it. Like there's no way. I feel like Brandy and Theo have some options in terms of like getting out of danger and like keeping distance, but like Avayath and Shui are so on the front lines
Yeah.
that like I feel like
And
it'd
I
be
think
one of
we
them.
also talked about this with Theo, where Theo may seem like an option of someone who might be more likely to die just because he's not like super outgoing with the big powers and all that. But the thing is, he's smart. He
Yeah.
pulls back. He knows like what he can and can't do, kind of, and he tends to fight long range. So
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
The
So
thing
either
is,
Shui or Avayath. I think Shui more likely than Avayath because Avayath's just so hard to hit and so like bulky because he's a fucking paladin.
yeah.
well, the thing is, Avayath takes damage for people. He does this all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas
Exactly.
an ally's next to him, he'll take the damage.
That's what I mean.
So-
Yeah. It's
Okay,
like if
we're gonna-
he's
we're
taking
gonna
so many hits. Yeah.
Jump off now to the next one. I'm gonna skip this one. You guys can see it. But,
one is it?
I'm skipping it. But I'm going on to the one after that, which is how did you come up with NPC traits and designs? I'm just going to quickly say most of the NPCs were PCs from other games, characters that I already had. A lot of characters were already made before the game started. All 4 of the mentors were pre-made. They were either PCs or characters that I had already made in the past. Other characters, I actually did random rolling for things. I rolled for personality traits for some of them. Sometimes I asked the cast, give me a class, give me a race, and then I made a NPC from that. That's how characters like Essence, Draga, and Riddle and Titus all came about. Was I asked for a class and a race, and then I rolled things for their personalities and made backstories from there. So that's kind of the basics of either they already existed, they were a little bit random, or I made them for a specific purpose to fulfill the plot. Yeah. So that was basically it. This one's pretty fast. The original question was basically, was Shui based on like Bleach or Soul Eater or anything like that? Basically, what inspired Shui is how we're gonna go about this from TH7Fool.
Demon Slayer.
So I am really into Bleach, or at least I was. Like I was ND. Like I was down bad for Bleach.
Yes,
Anyway,
you were.
So maybe like subconsciously I kind of made Shui and because Bleach did kind of shape the way I like certain stories and stuff. But as far as like what really inspired Shui, Ripley said it, like a Demon Slayer. Like I mean, at least the clothing.
It's hard not to see
the
like
sword
the Demon
fighting.
Slayer like inspiration in there. Yeah.
I've seen people compare Shui to like Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. That's nice. I really love Tanjiro. But I associate Shui a little bit more with Inosuke, which is like kind of you guys probably be like, what?
I could see it,
but just a little bit more Inosuke.
more like chaotic and more like
Yes,
energetic.
definitely.
Wild boy.
Just not as like as brash.
Yeah.
Not mean.
Yeah.
His outfit definitely is inspired by Demon Slayer.
Tanjiro. Yeah, absolutely. Damn,
right.
this fucking song.
It's Demon Slayer song. But anyway. So we also got the question, would you ever consider getting an original music score, not for the whole series, but for certain characters, moments, etc., like we did with the Moon's Rabbit song? The only
if we had
reason, if we had money, first of all, but also the only reason that the Moon Rabbit song is an original sound piece is because it was one that we could not replace with free music.
Yeah, it was just so ingrained in the series that we were like, we have to get something similar.
Yeah, so basically we had one of our friends do the vocals for it, and then later on I had a piece that I was using that had humming and vocals, and I just paid someone to make a backing soundtrack for that. But it's very expensive to pay for music, extremely expensive, and so we can't. Like, I have to buy packs and stuff. That would be a very far future goal, if anything. We'd probably have to do a Kickstarter or something to have original music. It's just very expensive to get.
It would be cool though.
It would be cool one day. We've talked about doing maybe opening music at some point, even if not for this series, maybe a different one. But moving on from that, someone asked if you could meet your own D&D characters, what would you do with that character? I'm rephrasing that instead of what would you do to what would you like say, or like your interactions, just because I think that might be a little bit easier to phrase.
Yeah, from Hydro Saloon.
And that's from Hydro Saloon.
I'd say I'm so sorry. I'd say I'm sorry I did this to you. That's my answer. Is I'm sorry, Brandy. I'm sorry I did that to you. Sorry I fucked you up. He'd kill me. He'd be like, "Oh, you did this." Okay.
I don't really know what I would say to Shui. But I'd probably, I don't know. I feel like Shui's fun to hang. I feel like Shui's just fun to be around. I'd want to go like, I don't know, down to like shopping, like to I don't know, watch a movie or like go to a park, go eat.
Absolutely, I'd love to hang out with Shui.
But yeah, well, he just seems fun to hang around.
Yeah.
Theo is basically pretty much me, but can talk better, I guess, or like hold a conversation better than I do. So we would both be extremely awkward. Theo would do more of the talking, and I would just be a little, blown away,
Yeah.
Be like, oh my god. Oh, also, considering that I created Theo based on my own experiences, Theo would say to me like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. That must have been hard."
Yeah.
And I'd
Theo
be
would
like,
comfort
"Yeah, I'm sorry."
Yeah. Sorry, I took that out on you.
Jay.
Yeah, I would hate to meet Avayath.
I fucking feel it, dude. I love him, but like, I love him in theory, not in like actual real life. If I met someone like him, I'd be like, "Oh my
he's the
God."
type of religious person that's like super over the top and forces his beliefs upon you, and it's not fun in real life.
it sucks in real
And
life.
also, he's really tall, like really
Yeah,
tall.
also, he's really
like,
tall and
isn't he,
intimidating.
like 7 feet or
He's
like
7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 7 feet tall, like
huge.
3 to 4 feet wide. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, fuck
7
that.
feet tall, 7 feet wide. No, just kidding.
He's
Just a big square.
No, that's Brandy.
Then
Brandy's
he'd
the
really,
square.
yeah, Brandy's the square man.
Avayath is a mountain. Yeah.
So what would you say to him? Fuck off?
Go
What
the
would-
fuck away, yeah.
Do not talk to me.
What I could stand the most, theoretically, if I had to talk to him, is his adventure stories, because I do like adventure stories.
That's fair. I'd love
And
to
that's
hear.
something that he's good at and likes to talk about. So
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Hold on, I lost my place. Were there any
were there any
scenes
scenes
that
we
you
missed
missed out
out
on? Sort of. Not really. We don't really re-record scenes. I just can't think of any that we've like done and been like, we need to do that again, or we have to retcon that whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't think
we
we've ever
usually
done
just
that.
redo our lines immediately.
Yeah. So in terms of scenes you might miss, again, bloopers. If you miss things, jokes, sometimes running gags that have to be cut because they're a running gag that the audience wouldn't necessarily get, but like all
Get it
together
at
they
all.
kind of make something. It's in bloopers, and you can get those. Literally, it's just $1 a month, and then you have access to all of them in our Patreon channel and Discord.
Some of them are so fucking funny.
There is a
Some of them
running
are
joke.
so fucking
There is
funny.
currently a running joke. I don't know how much of it actually makes it in like further episodes or whatever, but Shui for some reason can speak grung.
Which grungs
but
don't exist in the
grungs
world?
don't exist.
So
So
Shui thinks he could talk to frogs?
so we sometimes go on tangents on that, but the thing is, we've had a lot of conversations about that outside of the podcast. So the jokes don't tend to always hit super well in the game.
Yeah.
So those end up getting cut. So whenever we talk about Shui's grung abilities, those end up making it into the bloopers instead. And that's kind of it's not a scene. It's like a minute, maybe max, usually what you miss of us going on tangents. But they're funny, and you should.
Yeah, they are extremely funny.
And yeah, they're currently Patreon exclusive. We might occasionally release one or two publicly, but it's probably gonna mostly be a Patreon exclusive thing for
Yeah.
bloopers.
I'm gonna make a fucking grung one shot to explain why Shui knows grung. I
It's so
swear to God, I'm
fucking
gonna
funny.
DM it. I have plans.
Favorite character you've ever played from a non?
Brandy. Brandy's my favorite.
Shui?
Yeah.
I really did enjoy Ramsey. He's my favorite second D&D character, but he was
He's a bitch.
yeah.
You're telling me
he was
Lucio
just a
wasn't
different-
your
he was
favorite?
just-
Yeah,
I don't know who that is.
I don't know the fuck you talking about.
I enjoy playing Shui the most at the moment.
Yeah,
I did also
Brandy's
enjoy
mine.
Monty from you.
Monty
Oh
was
yeah,
very
Monty
good.
was fun.
Oh,
Monty was
yeah.
fun. Forgot about him.
Yeah. Brandy's mine. I love him so much. I love everything about Brandy. He's my favorite. He's my main OC, and being able to play him is just so much fun. Second to him is my character. It's between two characters: my character Lottie or my character Lucifer Black. Both of them are just a blast to play for different reasons.
You know I'm biased
but
for
Brandy's
Lottie.
my favorite for sure.
Lottie
I know
was in
you
the
are.
last
You
game.
love big titty goth GF. Yeah, I know.
Shush. Jay.
Yeah. So my favorite to play in D&D is Avayath. For me, he's just the perfect mix of sometimes he can be really cool, he can be really funny, but he can also be really interesting. But my favorite character is a character named Kama, who I've had since I was 11. He's like a really edgy rogue dude.
Aw.
Yeah, I love him too.
And then
Yeah, he's-
Shane.
Yeah, it's really, really, really hard because Theo is like so much like me that it's really easy to get in character, and it's really fun to play things out because I'm happy with what Theo's happy about. Other than that, I did have this beautiful pink boy who had a lot of problems communicating, which I
love him.
seriously related to, and it was a lot of fun playing Halen because I got to be really, really the break, I guess. I loved to surprise people with his simplicity and kindness. And then there's Daimi, who I relate to severely, second ever D&D character. The same kind of issues that I have in the whole trans sphere, and just really fun.
Yeah, I love all of them. Halen, Daimi, Theo, all of them fucking
Thank
amazing.
you.
Shane amazing characters. They're all very cute. Everyone makes good characters, but Shayna production.
But
Shayna wins. So from there, I think we're going to skip the one after that, just because where we are in the game, I don't really feel like we can answer that one yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. I feel like we will have better answers
Eventually.
in the future.
Yeah, we will have answers in the future.
I'll say what it is. We're not going to answer just because, again, where we are doesn't make sense. But basically, it's like, did you have any moments in the game that made you cry? In the future, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
Absolutely.
I've cried at least twice, like genuinely cried at least twice in this game so far.
Yeah, and that was from Keep Your Dice About You. And it's just where we are currently, people may have gotten emotional, but nowhere near what it is later.
Oh yeah, it gets emotional
It
later.
gets
You
so
guys,
strong.
it's so good.
And yeah, the impact of certain things, especially God, just
And I
something
won't-
really special.
And I won't even say it's
Really,
always, like,
yeah.
it's not even, like, sometimes sad, yes, but there's also moments of just, like, love, honestly. Like,
Yeah, overflowing joy.
you know, it's great.
I like seeing their relationship
It's
as a
beautiful.
party. Sometimes like
They all love each other
it
so
just comes
much.
through
They
so
do.
strong that it just
Yeah.
gets
It just gets you. That's what I'm saying. It's like when we say, like, it, trust me when I say it's not, like, all bad. There are good moments that make you cry.
Yeah, there really are.
But moving on from there, we're gonna skip this one because whatever. But, thoughts on the beginning of the campaign from Hydro Saloon?
I was so nervous. Oh my
Yeah.
god, because I had to go first, and I was like, I'd never done a Vice's
You
voice
did have to go
before,
first.
Yeah.
and I didn't know what to do. This is my first time being on like a D&D podcast. God, I was shaking. I couldn't
You were
focus.
so last minute too. Everyone else had like time to prep, and you were just like, "We're recording in 5 days. Welcome."
I was very excited. There's always like a bit of a, because I spend a lot of time in my head thinking about my characters, so there's always just like a time to kind of actualize them and actually like play them and see how I can actually do it and stuff. So for Shui at least, it was I want to say disconnected. I felt like I grasped him fairly quickly, but at least in the beginning, I didn't feel like a super big attachment to him, just because like he wasn't done like printing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were given a little bit of a heads up for their first episode because it's a podcast. I wasn't gonna toss them in completely blind. So I was like, "You're gonna be talking to your friend. You're gonna be getting your sword. You're gonna be Brandy." Like that was like.
Yeah.
You're gonna be Brandy.
But like they didn't have all the elements about it necessarily, so.
Yeah, when we were first recording it, and I was like sitting there waiting for both Jay and Zen to finish their sections because I knew I was coming up after Zen. I was so nervous. Similarly to Jay, I was so nervous that's why I made that stupid joke with my voice.
It's so funny.
I was so nervous I could not speak normally. So I had
You
to
had to get the nerves out.
Yeah, to get my nerves out, I had to do the hey, it's me, Theo, because I was that shakiness in the voice was me being so fucking nervous.
Yeah, that's valid.
And I had to like just relieve the tension. As I said in the episode, I was like I had to break the ice because I was so nervous.
Yeah. For me, it was. I've never really had a problem with that aspect of it being a podcast. I've just kind of like always viewed it as a game, so I've just been excited. I've just been like, "Fuck yeah, we're playing a game. Let's do it." Like I don't really, the audience and all that doesn't really like affect me nearly as much as like
The
I'm
game
just playing a
itself.
game with my friends. I'm so excited. I'm having fun.
You should see the tangents that Ripley goes on in our theory channel.
go nuts. I
It's just
go
for Ripley
ballistic.
too. The theory channel
It
is for
because
Ripley.
I requested it specifically so I can theorize in it. I go on tangents. I just love the game. I'm just playing the game. I don't
love
think
it,
about
though.
the fact
It's
that
fun.
it's a podcast.
It's especially fun because the audience cannot theorize about the things where we currently are. So having a player who is fun. But also Ripley gets to that point where she kind of has given up on trying to figure things out. She's like, just tell me. Just...
Yeah. I've basically figured out the game. Cassie just won't tell me that I have.
Of course.
So, like,
of
yeah.
course. Of course.
So I forgot to mention, I'm sorry. Other than being nervous, I was like, oh my god, it's a Cassie game. I'm so excited. It's going to be really grand and amazing. I just had to say that because it's just, you know it's going to be good.
I was nervous because I've only had one campaign finish outside of this. So all my other ones have ended for reasons kind of outside of my control, or just me not feeling happy with them and needing to stop. But I was very nervous about the presentation of putting myself on display, and if we cancel, everyone knows, It's not just your friends anymore. It's building up an audience and having to have that kind of in the background. But I think that's also nice about what we... Sorry, I got distracted by the chat. I think that's also nice about how we record and what we do is we literally could not record for a year and you wouldn't know because we have so much built up content. That we can take breaks, we can take long hiatuses, we can do other things. We don't have to play when we don't need to. And I think that's also very important. It's why we probably will never live stream. We'll probably never live stream a session because it's just too stressful. I feel like it takes out some of the organicness. It ups your nerves by 1,000,000 to have people watching live.
Oh, for sure.
And you don't want to see all... A lot of people say that they want to see our episodes unedited. No, you don't.
You don't.
You don't.
No, you don't.
People have said to me that we rival Adventure Zone or Critical Role or whatever their favorite podcast is, and I honestly feel like it's because of how much production that we put into it, and we would lose that in a live show. And you would also see all of our stumbles and hear us talk about the mechanics of Hestia for 10 minutes.
And hear us joke stupidly for like fucking way too long. Like the start of a session, we spend like the good 30 minutes to an hour of the first the first part of a session just fucking around and being stupid.
I've mentioned before,
like,
for every
so much.
For every 2 hours of content that you get, at least 30 minutes has been cut. And it's not like you're missing scenes. You're missing dead time. You're missing Zen's mom knocking on the door. You're missing someone's power going out.
Going by.
You're missing breaks. We take long breaks sometimes too. Sometimes we take a 30-minute break, and that's not fun for streams.
Literally.
We are... Speaking of stream, we are going to take live questions now. I don't know if we're going to go for the full 30 minutes because of how long we've gone, and I do have a final question I want to end on. I'd say we're going to try to...
15 minutes?
We could do 15. We'll do 15 minutes of live questions. And then do our final question to end off on. So I'm going to look at the ones that we got donations for first. And then from there, you guys can go ahead and start asking questions, and we'll kind of jump into it as we go.
If you asked the question earlier, just
replace it. If it's something you really want answered.
Yeah, there was some I saw that I wanted to answer, but I didn't want to answer it in chat.
Exactly, I didn't want to cut over. No. Go for it. Read the ones that people pay for.
How do I get to the super chat? Hold on.
I don't know. Go to the donations.
Oh, it says that I can donate, but how do I see what people have donated? I
guess it not like the Internet top chat?
Pop out chat, participants, toggle time stones. I can't see them.
Huh.
Well, you can just scroll up.
I guess they're highlighted.
Yeah, they are like highlighted, so. Or not. Where the fuck are they? Y'all talk too much.
Participants. Hold on. Pop out chat.
What's y'all's favorite spell? I like...
Live chat, all messages.
My signature spell has become Gravity Sinkhole from the Explorer's Guide to Alexandria. Fucking love Gravity Sinkhole.
Yeah, I guess we can't fucking...
I remember one of them was Skye being like, "Can I kiss
Essence?"
Can I kiss Essence? Yeah, go for it. Enjoy. Have a good
Essence
have a good kiss. She's single and ready to mingle.
For now.
Actually, she's not single. She's actually very two people. So
it's fine, but she's not.
But is she ready to mingle?
I guess. I guess.
I don't. It would be hard to win her heart. I feel like. But Skye can do it. I believe.
Skye's determined. She really likes compliments and feeling like the center of attention. I feel like Skye could deliver that. The other question that I think we got was from Mr. Bakudan. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Damn.
Oh, Baku asked if there was something like Christmas. There is actually. That's what
There
the
it
one
is.
shot is that we recorded.
Yeah.
That hopefully we will be able to get out at some point.
By this Christmas.
Hopefully.
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 Yes, it was a Christmas special. It was so fun.
There's some
It was
technical
so
issues
cute.
with that going on for me in this current moment where I'm trying to figure out how to do that. But
Yes.
hopefully.
Yeah.
That's why I don't promise that. Do not promise the
Yeah.
one shot because I do not know if we will actually be
Yeah.
able to get it out. But hopefully.
Hopefully. What's y'all's favorite anime?
Very hard
fucking-
question. I don't watch anime. I'm an nerd. What the fuck? Duh. Like,
Do I look like a fucking weeb to you?
I think it's
No.
pretty. It's
I'm
not
kidding.
obvious, but I think
Hunter,
if you
Hunter.
look at my style, Inuyasha for me, like the way that I
Yeah.
draw hair is very indicated.
Yeah, very Inuyasha the way you do it.
indicative. There we go.
Indicative.
Of kind of Inuyasha.
Yeah. Mine's Hunter x Hunter. I adore Hunter x Hunter. It's fucking great. Hunter x
Yeah,
Hunter or
it's very
JoJo's. Those are the
okay.
two.
Very good.
I grew up on Nart, and I don't like much other
Nart.
animes.
Nart's great. Has so many
Naruto.
problems, but I love Nart.
It has
Yeah.
a lot of problems, but I love the characters so much that
Literally.
I'm very influenced by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also gonna say Naruto, kind of for the same reason. I wouldn't say it's the best anime in my opinion, but it's brought me so much joy and it's influenced me so
Yeah.
much.
Literally, yeah.
I have so many memories of Naruto.
I also super love Yu Yu Hakusho. That was a really good
Yeah,
one for
Yu
me.
Yu Hakusho.
And then Chrono Crusade, which is not actually well known, like at all.
Oh, yeah.
But I very much liked it. Made me cry. Which is hard. It's hard for me to consume media that makes me cry.
Yeah. So, question: if you are a DM, but you always feel like your ideas are cliche, how could you fix that? And is it bad to constantly ask your players if they're having fun? No, it's important to ask if your players are having fun and making sure you're checking in every now and then. You shouldn't do it too often.
Yeah.
But
Every
it's
couple
good
months.
to check in and make sure people are enjoying themselves.
Every couple months, or every
Um,
like 5 or 6 sessions or something.
I would say as far as ideas go and like cliche all ideas have been done. It's hard to do anything new. It's just how you present it that gives it its flair and stuff like that.
As the
Like,
Magic Man said,
you know.
it's good to have some cliches.
yeah, exactly. Cliches are good. There is a reason that they're cliche.
I mean, one thing you can do, what I do is I just use existing modules, and it's like if they think it's cliche, I didn't write it. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
The part of
Cliches
are-
D&D is the fun of playing it and the fun of making your own choices. So
Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't always. You could play the most cliche thing in existence, but it's going to be different every single time depending on your players and how you play it and how you as a DM present it. It's going to always have a different spin on it.
Exactly.
Chosen Ones is literally just everything that I love and enjoy put into one, which is why things are going to get very weird.
Will Brandy become a marriage warlock later on? That's a great question.
I feel like maybe like post-campaign he might.
Marriage warlock?
Yeah.
I don't think that. Well, maybe. I don't know if he changes his warlock subclass. Maybe like post campaign.
Yeah, I don't
But
think.
I
During
don't think
the campaign.
in game. Because there's so much shit that I want from his subclass. I want to get to 14th level in his fucking subclass. That's it. I just want to get to 14th level because I want to use it so bad. But yeah, maybe. How can we bring anime powers into D&D? Like say Imagine Breaker. I've homebrew it.
Homebrew.
I've
Yeah.
homebrewed fucking spells. I've done that in the past. I've like taken anime shit. I've made subclasses of Sailor Moon. I made subclasses of Soul Eater. I made subclasses of something else that I'm thinking of. There's something else.
if you want to base your like build off a popular anime, you can probably find it on
you
the
can
internet.
look it up. Just look up
Yeah.
like how do I play Goku? Like just fucking look it
Yeah,
up.
literally.
Maybe
Yeah.
try to a bit because a lot of homebrew stuff on the internet is totally broken.
Homebrew stuff.
Yeah,
and also
absolutely.
from a DM perspective, if you want to work things into your game, here's the thing. Here's the secret. People have asked me for the stat block for the Astral Golem a couple of times. He doesn't fucking have one.
It's a wondrous item, yeah.
It's a wondrous item, and it literally just does whatever I want it to. It doesn't have to have specific mechanics, because the point wasn't to necessarily fight it outside of Brandy's thing.
Right.
And so it's not necessarily supposed to be something that you fight, and not everything needs a stat block. Not everyone needs to know that you have a stat block.
How strong a creature is, yeah.
Or like what you have. Sometimes you can just
make
decide
shit
things in the moment, and like I do usually for the big fights try to have things planned out, because I want them to have stakes and have things that I try not to change major fights. But for like little things, sparring here and there, stuff that you know is just impactful for characters, or like a fight that you know is for a character, you know, it can be good to just give them their moment and let them have their moment. I think depending on your game, I like to still have the threat of death and things in my games, but I think it's pretty mild in comparison to most people's stuff. People know that I'm here for the story first and foremost. And also in D&D, there are so many ways to bring you back to life that like a death probably wouldn't be permanent.
We got to keep going.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, that's all I'm saying is like,
yeah,
people can very much die, but it's fucking fantasy. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. I have a crush on the Magic Man. I need his relationship status. He's single and ready to mingle.
I don't fucking know. I don't think about the Magic Man's sexuality.
I do.
What
I think about it constantly. Let me just answer this one real quick. What's a marriage lock? It's a homebrew I made. I made a homebrew that is based on marriage. It gives your allies a bunch of benefits depending. It's cute. How did y'all come up with your character voices? Were they based off something, or did they just pop in your head first session?
Shui's voice. I was just like, I have to be really excited, because I talk really mellow. I feel like, obviously, when I get excited, you can tell. So for Shui, I just have to just constantly channel that excitement, and I also had to like regress like 10 years. So,
reverse yourself.
Yeah, and it's something I really did just kind of come up with in the moment. I didn't practice it at all before having the initial session.
His voice isn't super different from yours, so it's
not. It's really not. So it really wasn't hard. It really wasn't
Peppy.
hard. Yes.
Peppy.
Yeah. Brandy's I had since I made him. I'll be transparent. I like how Ford talks in Critical Role. I just like when he was, for anybody who's not caught up. I like how Ford talks. He talks like a rootin' tootin' cowboy. He has a nice accent, and I like Southern accents. Just that, like, howdy, it's nice to meet. Like, that's just so, that deep, raspy, like, cowboy voice. I just fucking love it. And I can't picture him without that accent.
Yeah, it's really good. As for Theo, it's like, Theo's so much like me that I was like, yeah, it's just my voice, but like, can sound a little sassier in everyday speak, and then also just more anxiety-ridden / just like, oh, you know, I don't know how to explain this, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, and it's sad because after I chose Theo, I was like, it's whack that of all the characters that I could have chosen that have a vastly different voice than my own, I had to choose Theo, which has the closest voice to my own. Because I have a range, I just don't use it for Theo.
Yeah.
Jay?
For Avayath, I mean, very influenced by Reinhardt. I just wanted someone loud and boisterous, but I didn't want to bother with the German accent or the gravel.
Oh my god, imagine a Avayath with a German accent.
That's so funny. I cannot imagine that at all.
You've got to get to the checkpoint. That's not German. I don't know what that was, actually.
That was not German.
That was slightly Bloodborne.
Scottish? Question mark?
Yeah, I can't do a German accent.
For me at least, and a lot of the characters, because they were pre-established, they did have voices before the campaign started. But also, I don't really... Mine more inflection. I do some voices, but I feel like most of my stuff comes from inflection. And obviously the characters with voice mods, I had to decide beforehand. But yeah, for me, most of the time, if a character was pre-established, then it also depends on who their relations, where they're from, might dictate their voice, because some areas do kind of have accents. I don't keep track of that very well, though, about where accents are supposed to come from, so don't quote me on that. But, you know, It's for me, it's just kind of like, this feels good, or me trying to think in the moment of what they would sound like. A lot of it is improv for me, especially for new NPCs.
Would you consider releasing the setting of Chosen Ones for the public?
That would take so much work. I don't know if
I can help you.
I don't know if I
fucking
want
would
to.
help.
I don't know if I'm interested in that. To
think
be
it'd be fun.
transparent. I know that's your kind of thing, though. So, like, I don't
I
know.
know
if that's...
you're so like, no, don't look at my thing. I want it to be secret.
I feel like
think it'd
I
be
don't
fun.
like. I feel like naked when people see behind the curtain too much, because you'll see just how much I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, that's why you like write it afterwards. I think it'd be fun.
If the campaign was over, maybe.
Yeah, like once it can't. That's what I mean. Like once
not
it can't.
not right now.
Not before, obviously, because there's so many secrets that no way that you could release it. But I think it'd be fun after. I think that would be fun.
Maybe, yeah. Someone asked, will Kenkus exist in the next campaign? I don't know. I don't know where. I know like Kenkus will exist by like modern day times, obviously, in the Chosen One universe. They don't exist right now. I don't know where in the setting they would be. It's hard for me to say right now.
That's fair. Will Brandy and Theo's relationship expand? Will it become more, or will it become less? Great question. You have to watch the podcast to find out. Wink.
Yeah.
How does Roll20 maps work? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Someone did ask
Okay, well-
us, just so they don't think that we skipped you, they asked, like, can we say, we just don't have time to say the quotes, and also we can't see them, so they're too far
they're
back.
gone now.
Yeah,
I'm
we
so
can't
sorry.
scroll all the way
I'm
back up,
so sorry,
unfortunately.
but they're...
And we just don't have
Very
time to say all the things people wanted us to say in character voices to keep going. So.
Unfortunately.
Maybe next time.
Maybe. That's how we'll start this stream. That's how we'll warm up.
That'd be cool.
That'd be fun.
That'd be
for
fun.
next
That
time.
would be fun. I would have a fun time with that.
Yeah, that would be fun. How does Roll20 maps work? I don't know how to do maps anywhere. You take a picture of your map and then you set it to the map player on Roll20.
It's kind of, you just gotta mess around with it. So you can set it up so individual players I've just watched tutorials, honestly. I am stubborn, and I figured out most of it by just messing around with the program, but tutorials are the easiest way. The basics that you need to know is you just need to know how to copy a map onto the thing. Just upload your images that you want, and then you set tokens to individual people to be able to control. And those are the two things that you need to be able to do. And that's the main stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that really got me is there's a background layer and a token layer.
Yes.
Yes.
So you just
Just gotta
background
put on
the
the
background layer, and then everything on the token layer you can move around.
And there is a GM later. So if you have villains, bosses, things like that, you can put it on the GM layer, and then other people can't see it. Those are the three things I would think are the most important for Roll20.
Yeah. Why did Brandy become a cowboy? He's always been one. He's always been one. He's always been a cowboy. Always had that accent. In this world, it's because of where he comes from. But, I mean, he's just always been a cowboy. He was always going to be a cowboy. I just love doing the cowboy accent. I just love the, howdy, it's nice to meet you. Like, I just love doing that.
So
It's fun.
good. It's my favorite as well.
Thank you. What if Brandy had another voice? He'd sound like Snake. He'd sound like, it's a pleasure to meet you. Like that kind of, he'd have like, he just has to have deep and gravelly is like Brandy. I couldn't picture him as anything else.
That actually reminds me, when I first heard Brandy, I thought he'd be like, howdy there, it's me, Brandy.
I'm
I
sorry?
expected him to be so low pitched.
Why the fuck would you take that?
I just wanted it the exact same way the first time I said that.
Howdy, it's me, Brandy.
I don't
Nice
know.
to meet you.
I just
Does
knew
he
people-
look like he would talk?
That would be so funny. Howdy, it's me, Brandy. Nice to meet you. Like, no, yeah.
got a
he's
steak in my
al-
boot.
He was always, I think it's because his voice was very inspired by Ford from Critical Role and like McCree from Overwatch. He just has it like, hey, it's nice to meet you. Like,
Yeah.
I just love doing that voice. It's so fun. I just love that voice.
And my image was like Woody from Toy Story.
Yeah.
Look,
Boss, look out!
Moving on, this
Dude.
is going to be the last one that I'm going to answer from the chat.
How about a beach episode?
Yep. How about a beach episode?
I'd love to do one.
We'd love to do one. There we go.
Avayath
Oh
wears armor.
no, settings. Your question of what is everyone's entire backstory got cut off. I guess we can't answer it. That's a shame.
Yeah. Also, just a heads up for future live streams, if you want to have questions answered, if you have pressing questions, consider what has been revealed in the series so far. Because,
Yeah, we cannot answer spoilers.
Yeah. So like,
obviously.
what would happen if Shui unlocked his sword? Can't answer that.
Can't answer that.
Favorite color? I would love to get into that, but we're gonna finish off.
No, y'all. Do not say lolly voice. That's gross. Lollies are gross. Don't. But we're gonna end the live stream with the final question.
The final stream question was from Keep Your Dice About You, and it is, what is your favorite character moment? Your PC, not other PCs or NPCs. Your favorite character moment.
Goes in.
The fuck?
Okay, I'll go. I mean, I
You
already
got
have
this
one.
question beforehand. You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite moment so far as Shui. A lot of my most favorite moments are in episodes that haven't come out yet. But
Same.
yeah, but I would say so far, I really liked his I liked his booth scene with Mizumi, and how afterwards he kind of was like, no, I don't want this stupid sword anymore, and was, you know, kind of throwing it away. It just kind of like, because, you know, he was always all about that sword. He thought it was super cool. He thought he could be just like his parents or whatever. And then to learn that he was to learn that he was like tricked, it just really threw his, I don't know, it just it wasn't right for him. So I think that whole scene where Shui got like super like depressed and was like, I don't want you anymore.
Yeah,
I thought that was one of my favorite moments with him. And then immediately making up afterwards, thanks to Theo.
Yeah.
Adorable. Yeah. My favorite moment is Brandy. I have a few. I think I would say my favorite moment so far is Brandy and Theo's confession scene getting together for the first time. I just love that scene so much. But if it weren't for that, it'd either be the first fight or the second fight with Avayath. The first fight with Avayath, that fucking reveal of his spark and taking Avayath out with him in that one moment was just amazing. It was so good. It was such a great end to that fight. And then the fucking second fight where they just kept going at each other, just trying desperately, where they're both at such low HP that one hit could just fucking decide it, was it was amazing. It was so good, and showing the character growth that Brandy chose not to use the spark against Avayath. It's just like, it's amazing. I fucking love those moments. But Theo and Brandy mean so much to me, like, just in general. I've so invested in them that, like, it was always going to be that moment. There are more moments later on that mean more, but you'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, there's some stuff that hasn't come out yet that is really good, but for me, it is also the Brandy and Theo confession moment, because Brandy and Theo are practically always on my brain, because they're just so good. They're so important to me. But other than that, I would say probably the moment that Theo kind of realized his feelings for Brandy and did his little whisper, his little secret out for the over the lake. Yeah, the Nather, and then just fucking fainting.
Yeah, because Avayath fucking heard him.
Yeah, because Avayath purposefully heard him.
Like a fucking
he
bitch.
Purposefully heard him.
What an ass.
And Theo realizing that someone somewhere in the group heard that he had feelings for Brandy that weren't just friendship. It just like overloaded his heart and brain to make him faint. That was so fun and funny. Just like that whole kind of area of just like that, like as he was like realizing his feelings, and then as he and Brandy were becoming closer, that's probably some of my favorite moments in the game so far.
Yeah, it was very good.
Them interacting just like as they had feelings for each other, but they didn't know it.
It's adorable.
It's really good. I love slow burn relationship wise, so it's my thing.
Yeah, adorable. Jay.
As for Avayath, I mean, I was also going to say Brandy versus Avayath as the top moment.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So good. Both of the fights, for different reasons, are just so fucking good.
Yeah. Really like a clash between like these two characters who were set up as rivals almost.
It's like unintentionally just they became rivals just because they're so they're the exact opposites of each other is just so
Yeah.
good.
But I'll pick an individual moment for just Avayath, I guess, which is his speech during Estel's trial, where he talked about his desire to not just
That
be a
was
chosen
so
one,
good.
but to be a hero.
Like I
Because-
teared up.
Yeah, before that point, I feel like Avayath just looked like some egomaniac. He was like, "Oh, I'm better than everybody else." But it was at that point that it was like, this really means something to him.
Something to
He's-
him,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's
It's not just like an
deeper
ego
things.
thing. He actually genuinely has like, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it hurts my heart that he's like so doubtful of himself. Actually,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That
That
he's-
it's all like, yeah, for
he's
sure.
so self-conscious, and he's trying so hard not to seem like he's not.
Mm-hmm. It's
He's
So
trying to
easy.
seem confident so that other people are confident in him, like, but he's not really that confident.
Yeah.
My favorite character moments that I play and not others are
Yeah.
a lot.
No, what is your favorite moment?
I'd say between two for very different reasons. Just the atmosphere of it, the way the music played out, especially having the original soundtrack in it. When Shui saw the world was a really good scene.
Yeah, that scene was so good.
Just the like quiet, like this is my favorite part, and then like the music like rising, and then like you seeing everything,
Yes.
and it was very good. Shui getting to see the whole world, and knowing now that there's a whole world out there.
There's
that
a
is
whole world out
unexplored.
there, yeah.
And then my other moment, probably season finale.
Yeah, the season finale was extremely good. That
s-
episode is just
It
it's so good,
came
so hectic
together in
and-
a way. There's so
Yeah.
many things that could have happened differently, but that could have not been the reveal. I had planned for that reveal to happen in a couple different places that didn't work out, and then it just so happened where it's like, if Avayath had pointed out to Win that he should have stayed with Peter, the high chance that wouldn't have happened. But Peter was just like, yeah, no, go ahead. Go. And Avayath let him, and they walked back alone. And if that hadn't been the case, if Avayath also hadn't brought up the confession booth, there's so many reasons why that wouldn't have happened there, but it just worked perfectly. So,
Yeah.
it was very good.
All right. That's it, huh?
I was going to ask one more question, just a quick one.
Oh.
We talked about it yesterday, actually. Instead of for your favorite moment, if you had to pick from all the episodes out so far as a whole, what is your favorite episode?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. The finale. The season finale was my favorite episode. Probably. I fucking love that episode. It was the way it all came together and like the hecticness of it and the chaoticness of like jumping back and forth between scenes. It's just like so like very like season finale. Like
Stuff is happening.
shit is happening right now.
And you know, it's crazy because like when we record these, we don't go like, okay, this will be a good spot for a season finale. It's just like it's literally just kind of like in the moment stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was, and it's that moment is something that I have grown to really enjoy about campaigns Cassiroll, because like something similar happened in Fool's Paradise, something similar happened in
Oh, yeah.
like Land of the Forgotten, I would say, which
Yeah.
was our very first campaign. So like it's moments like that I just get like so excited and so like just
Cassie just does them
anxious.
so well.
So anxious.
Yeah.
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 I think my favorite episode released so far, I do really like the season finale, but for the sake of saying something different, I think I really like the episode okay. Two. Okay, I have two. The episode where Shui had his concert where he
Yeah,
performed
Shui's
for everyone.
concert.
And also just the scene in general with the speeches. I'm not sure if that was part of the season finale.
That was
No,
that
that was way
was the
before
episode
season.
That was way
after
before.
Arthur's Lab.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that
yeah.
one too. So the speeches,
The speeches were so
episode,
good.
and Shui's concert.
I think speeches
Yeah.
and the fights were in that episode. I think
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
Mhm.
because that was
That
the
was a
hour and a half.
jam-packed
That was the hour and a half special.
Oh yeah, that was the comeback.
Yep.
Like when we had to take
Oh,
a break.
that's why I felt
Yeah,
like
that's
monumental.
right.
It
Forgot
wasn't the
about
season
that.
finale. It was the comeback.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
season return.
My favorites were ones that you had said, which was the season 1 finale. I would call that the best one.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna be like, oh, I have this other one that I'll say instead, and it was Shui's concert.
Yeah, Shui's concert is just so good.
It is. It feels like a good, like, not wrapping things up, but like overview of what had happened so far, because people were like chatting of like, oh, things have happened and a little bit. Other than that, it would probably be the Brandy and Avayath fight. The episode is just so good.
Which one?
The second fight that they had was just
the
so
comeback.
good.
Ugh, so good.
It was so good. So I guess that's also the same answer as Zen.
Has Jay
We
gone
know what's good. We know what's good.
Has Jay
I have
gone
not gone yet.
Okay.
No. Well, I was gonna have the same answer. The speeches. I remember the speeches in the second round of fights was the same episode, and because I was rewatching every remastered Chosen Ones episode to build up to that, I just got so excited for that.
Me too.
Yeah. It was so exciting.
It was rewatching all that was like my third time reliving these sessions. So
Yeah.
I like really remembered everything that built up to that.
It was
So good.
Yeah.
I actually don't think either of mine have been said.
I think I know what yours is.
Like the stuff that happens with Peter in the finale, I love the finale. In terms of single moments, yes, like that reveal was great. But in terms of overall episodes, I have two actually. One is Arthur's Lab.
Of course,
love Potential as an episode. It's so good. There's so many things that are hinted in that episode that you won't know until later because he like talks about all the cast members. He gives like little things about all of them and they're like talks with him that lead into things in the future. And just it was also when I was so excited to bring time travel into this game. I was dying to reveal it, and I was dying for the audience to get to it. I just wanted so badly for them to know about it because I love time stuff in any capacity or sense. I just like messing with that kind of stuff in games. It's very fun for me. And Arthur as a character, I hadn't really known how I was going to play him quite yet, but like having a character where I can facilitate my excitement about time travel is very fun because he's super excited about it and I'm super excited about it. It makes him very easy to play.
That's the other one.
The other
That's
one,
also a good episode to rewatch, just as a listener.
Yeah.
It's and
Especially
then,
if you're into the theorizing.
And then actually the Calm Before, episode 26, our other hour and a half long special. That includes the Theo and Brandy scene. That also includes when Flynn and Alia first show up and it's revealed that Brandy is an Aberrant tiefling. That was all the same episode.
That was really good.
And then also that episode, you guys get your mentors. Theo talks to Estel about how Arthur changed things so he could have him as a student. There's a lot of good stuff that happens in that one.
A lot of shit that happened, yeah.
And so between those two, just as overall episodes, those are probably my favorites that have come out.
Hell
I
yeah.
also really like the Astral Golem episode.
Oh yeah,
Yes!
the fucking Golem episodes were
It's so
so good. The two of
Ugh.
them, that pair of episodes is great.
Seeing Avayath was like so shattering of like what we thought.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like oh, nothing could possibly like
Jay really played it up.
affect Avayath.
He sure did.
He was like, I'm gonna be fine! Immediately sobbing. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was extremely good.
So before we end off, I just want to also just note again the music playing in the background is by, I'm so sorry, Michael Gelfi. I mean, that's definitely not how you say it. It's linked in the description. Go check out his stuff. He's got great music.
Yeah.
He doesn't have it, like I can play it in a stream and not get my stream taken down, which is great. And
yep, very important.
just in general, he's got great music, and we've used some of his ambiances also in the show as well. And besides that, I feel like I say this all the time, but we really are only just getting started with this show.
We really are. Literally, I think everyone's favorite moment is in this season. Everyone's favorite moment is in this season.
And I feel like this last episode, honestly, is like the if you've seen it, you know funky stuff happens. This is what I've teased it before when Alia and Flynn were introduced, and I was like, things are just getting started. But I feel like this is it again. Like things are. We are in it, and it's going to get
literally
good.
Shit is going to ramp up so fast. Get ready, because it's gonna go nuts.
I will tease what the next episode's title is. You won't tell you what it's about. I won't say what the thumbnail or anything is. The next episode title is Unmasked. So we will see what that is.
Ooh.
And that's also when Zen's favorite spark is revealed. So
Yeah, haha. Lots to look forward to.
So excited for this
So
season!
This season is good.
thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for, I
coming.
think, was it max 35 listeners?
I think
That
Max.
was more than that, I think.
I won't be able to tell till after the stream was over, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah,
everybody.
thanks
who
everybody
came
for
and stopped
watching.
by.
Thank you.
thank you guys
I
for
haven't-
coming. Hopefully it won't be another full year before we do a stream, but we'll see.
Probably not. What were you gonna
I
say,
haven't
Dan?
replied to everything in the chat, but everybody in the chat I have been reading, and I appreciate all of the interaction, and even if you're not chatting.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It was
All right,
so
thank you
fun.
guys. We're ending the stream
Thanks.
now. See ya.
Ending the
Bye.
stream. Bye. See you next
Bye.
episode. See you
Ciao,
Thursday.
everyone.
Bye bye!